Well, hello again, everyone. I am Gary Gotzo, and welcome to Velocity Online Racing's coverage of Round 2 of Season 2 of the Global IndyCar Challenge. As today we come for you from the world's most famous racecourse, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, from the racing capital of the world, Speedway, Indiana, right next to my hometown here of Indianapolis, as we are preparing ourselves for 400 miles, 160 laps of the first ever hybrid action on a stream to be on iRacing with these brand new-ish IR18 Indy cars, and that is the big story of the race. And coming into this race is new cars for everybody with the new hybrid unit. Joining me for race 2 and probably for much of the rest of this season is Jack James. Jack, good to have you here. Welcome to Indianapolis, and welcome to a kind of a new era of IndyCar racing here on the sim.
Yeah, I mean it's a privilege to be here. I mean, you know, this is almost sim history in the making. We've got the first race here. It's always going to be iconic at Indianapolis for these new era of IR18s here on the iRacing service, and I think it's going to be a good race. I mean, you know, it's going to be a new challenge. It might shake up the field a lot. We've got some drivers, you know, saying that the hybrid system might not do too much, but it affects the way the cars handle. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
And there you see the configuration of the Speedway, rectangular shaped oval at 2.5 miles. Originally, when they built the place, they wanted to make it a 3-mile oval, and they just couldn't slide it into the parcel of land they originally were given. Opened in 1909. There was actually racing at the Brickyard before the first Indy 500 in 1911. But it is one of the oldest sporting venues in the United States. Weather conditions today, and they'll bring them up. I'm using the Freedom units. They're using the metric units in the broadcast staff here. But 120 degrees on the track temp, which is a pretty decent track temperature for these cars. That's about what they face when fixed Indy 500 weekend is here in May. And 84 on the ambient. But I guess one of the things that we've been hearing about is possible tire degradation, because these cars now weigh a little bit heavier with these hybrid units, and at 120 degrees on track temperature, you'll have to translate that to whatever it is in Celsius for you guys there, JJ. But they are probably dealing with some better, or not, I wouldn't say better tire degradation, but higher tire degradation over their stints now. We expect the stints length to be about the same time, but the tire deg is going to be higher now.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how drivers manage this. I mean, as you say, this is going to be, well, these guys have had the best part of maybe 24 hours to figure out what to do here. A lot of these guys might be they might be running the baseline setup. I know that some people might, others have tinkered with some stuff and found something a little bit faster, but we're really in unknown territory. So today will be a really good baseline, so to say, to see what we can expect, not only for the rest of the season in terms of road courses and tire wear, but ovals as well.
And we have one driver that will be in the lineup that is using this race more as a reconnaissance race in preparation for the PRI Hoosier 500 on Sunday, and that is Kyle Clinworth. He is going to start from the back of the pack, but he's a former winner here in the Velocity Online Racing Indy 500. In fact, we have a couple of former Velocity Online Racing Indy 500 winners in the lineup. Luis Nunez will be in the lineup. Liam O'Sullivan will be in the lineup. And also we will have, is Jesper Orman. I saw him practicing, but I'm not sure if he's going to be in the lineup. But if he is, he's a former winner. Julian has a lot of experience, but I don't think he ever won it's probably one of the last check boxes on his old resume there to get a win here in the Velocity Online Racing Indy 500. But I don't think, I'm looking back at history. No, he has not gotten a win here. So that is still one thing, but he has a ton of experience doing 500 milers here on the oval. Again, this is a 2.5-mile rectangular oval. We're doing 160 laps, 400 iRacing miles. This is open setup. That is why Clindy is using today as a reconnaissance race to kind of look forward to the open setup PRI Hoosier 500 on Sunday, which might not be a bad idea for him to actually do this. We got six sets of tires. We got 1 on the car, 5 in the pits. We're at 60 miles per hour on the pit road speed limit, 100% fuel. And I think we are getting ready to get a starting lineup here, but there are your points as of one race, and this is how we finished last race. So we're just not going to dive into much points here, but it is Luis Nunez, your points leader, and there are your team points. Again, how they finished in the last race. But two things here. Early in the season, nobody really cares much about points after one race. And the second thing is, we're at Indianapolis, and definitely nobody cares about points at Indianapolis. You ready for this, Jack? We're getting ready to line up and go gridding here. What are you thinking so far as you see the conditions, and what have you seen in practice? Anything that you have your eyes open for?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting seeing you point out that the track temperatures here. I mean, they play a massive factor. If you have super high track temps, you're going to see a lot more washing. You're going to see a lot more of that dirty air. You're going to see a lot more cars potentially, slamming into outside walls in the opening laps. And outside of, maybe teams running a little in-house hosted race prior to this event, maybe this morning or this afternoon, we haven't seen, all these drivers haven't seen how these new era of cars are going to react into that dirty air. So I think we're going to potentially see a lot of action, maybe a couple of hiccups, maybe a few slip-ups in these first couple of laps. And then I think once these drivers are sort of getting used to it, more into the middle of the race, we'll start to see that usual chess match that we always get at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
And here is the starting grid. Row 1 is F-Tank and Altena. Row 2, O'Sullivan and Steinker. Hopefully I'm saying that again right. If I'm saying any names wrong, just please let me know with a voice memo in Discord. Gardner and Stock on row 3, 44 Nation, Christensen and Longbean on row 4. Dory and Vogelzang running out the remainder of the top 10. And we got Pim and Mathon in row 6, Rise and Hatsuma in row 7, Ortiz and Dahlgren in row 8. Former 500 winners on row 9, Nunez and Clindy, watch that row. Sissik and Strauss on row 10 as your top 20. Moving on to the back portion of the field, Silvazzi and Mixer, watch that row. Those are two experienced racers in row 11. Pressy and Lal in row 12. Soranzo and Fiolis, who has got a end-of-the-line penalty in row 13. Draculettes and Charpentier, in row 14. Bakoven and Heisman with an end-of-field penalty in row 15. And Mauro Ramirez, a guy shares the same birthday as me. He's back on row 16 with Yachi. And, of course, we'll have a couple of other drivers cycling back there as a part of penalties they picked up from the previous race at Nürburgring. On the north end of the racetrack, 2x2 formation. Now, we're not doing a traditional 3-wide Indy 500 style start. We're going to do it iRacing style. 2-wide starts coming off of the north end of the racetrack, off of corner number 4. The pace car will take the dive down to the inside, and will turn the field over to Roden F-Tank, who will be bringing us down to the green flag. Reminder, when we go green, passing could commence anywhere. Stand by for 400 miles and the Global IndyCar Challenge. Here we go, green flag in the air, and we are off. We have cars in the wall in the north end of the racetrack.
Yeah, that was a big hit at the back of the field there for the, I didn't quite catch that. It's the number, or it's a mixer. So that's those two straight out of the race on lap number 1. As I said just before we went green there, that could have been a cold tire sort of thing. That could be a dirty air kind of thing. Sorry, as we look at the replay now, too wide into turn number 3 on Mixer's perspective here, and he's just gonna so Oritz gets turned around first, and he doesn't actually get any contact, and he just spins in sort of avoiding action.
Trying to get an angle of the replay here, and there you see, that was a little bit of help, and right in the neighborhood of Clindy too. That was right around him, but that was the that was going to be that the Sirius XM throwback to the livery that Casper Neves won his 4th Indy 500. But we're already 4 wide going into turn 1. Yeah, that at least should not be 3 or 4 wide going into, turn 3 on lap 1. This is a 400-mile race, and there is a lot of time in this race that should not be spent getting aggressive at that level at the start, but that's kind of how we are. And yeah, just misses the apex altogether, gets in the car in front of Clindy. Clindy avoids it, and then looks like Silvazzi kind of got into it. Mixer misses everything, but he had the lock up on it.
Yeah, I mean, that was always gonna happen when you have 3-4 wide going into turn 3 on lap 1. You have all the pack close together. If something happens, of course, you're gonna have that domino effect, and a couple of guys there having literally nowhere to go, as we already see cars diving into the pit lane. With,
this is not a bad idea. Okay, now I see why I didn't see Jesper Orman. Jesper Orman is actually in the lineup as Jesper Dahlgren.
Okay.
So he is he's in his alter ego. Oh, and we had a wreck under yellow. Charpentier, not sure what happened there, but he wrecked under yellow. We'll have to see what happens here.
It's the checkup. There we go. Yeah, and he snags the rear brakes, and the car hooks him hard right into the wall. That is super unfortunate for Charpentier.
This is one of the things, and I kind of equate stuff like this in an IndyCar to inexperience in the IndyCar. And I don't know his full experience in the IndyCar, but again, the closing rates of these cars, even at speed, is great. But keep in mind, we're traveling under caution at 60, 65, 70 miles per hour, and the back of the field has to catch up to the front of the field so they can all get to pit road if they want to go to pit road at the same time. And those closing rates, especially in the car in front of you, gets off the brake, gets off the accelerator, you're right in their trunk. And that's one of those things that he almost caught the car in front of him, had to take evasive maneuvers, and noses right on into the infield wall, or the turn 2 exit wall.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Gary, but when I've driven the Indy cars here on the Indy Motor Speedway, I've been the victim of having that happen to me a couple of times. You have one lapse of concentration because you're under caution here. You're going to be fiddling with stuff on your steering wheel. You're going to be setting the engine map to, I think it's map 12 or map 8 or something.
Map 8 for under caution. Yep.
That's the one, map 8 for under caution, and you're going to be changing all sorts of stuff from, ARBs if they're going to be sorting stuff out with these, with the tyre wear, or they're going to be fiddling with weight jackers, and you look up for 1 second and you see the field with a closing speed of God knows how much. You're going to be slamming on those brakes, and at that point, once the car gets loose and that outside wall is catching up to you, you're not really going to have much to do, as we now are on board with O'Sullivan, who's managed to snag the lead of this race, actually, while all of that has been kicking off.
Yeah, he has wasted no time. And you're right. One of the things that I did when I remember racing these, because I was so cognizant of the car from behind me plowing into the back of me, and I've seen it so many times. Going back to my very first race at Indianapolis, I remember one of my teammates, my very, very first Indy it wasn't an Indy 500, it was an Indy 250. He's just lining up for practice, just lining up to go green, actually. And at the end of the caution, and the car behind him plows into him. So I typically stagger myself differently on the grid or on the racetrack. So I just make sure that there's no car in front of me, or if there is, it's a couple car lengths in front of me. And if there's no car in back of me, because they don't plow into the back of me. But we are still under caution here, at least for another lap. Liam O'Sullivan is now your leader. Roden Eftink is on the racetrack, or he is second, as we are going to go green this time, as the pace car now is off. As we are green flag, and watch them fan out in the back. That nice rule they have here.
Yeah, there was definitely a couple of moves a little bit earlier. There was some guys moving out maybe a little bit before the green flag was thrown. But as far as I'm concerned, all the black flags that will be obtained from that will be cleared. We've already got some guys going around the outside, down the back straight here. Is we going to see any moves? I think everyone's sort of taken note off that first couple of laps, and we have a much more relaxed opening restart lap here, Gary.
Yeah, post-race penalties might be issued, but nothing during the race. So just keep your foot in it. Top 3 all teammates right now, and then Gardner and fourth spot, excuse me, is the first non-Altena Autosport car in line. And we got Stinker and Stock in 5th and 6th behind Gardner. And then Christian and Dory and Sisek your top 10. Those that stopped on that caution, Klindy, Mixer, Law, all stopped. Jesper Orman stopped. Hatsima stopped. Soranzo stopped. Charles Draculetes stopped as well. And then we still have a couple cars on pit road with extended pit stops. They are maybe making a decision here in a little bit to see if they are going to retire. But 32 started this race. We now have 30 racing. And now we have a battle for the lead on the racetrack going into turn 1.
Yeah, I think there's these 3 teammates up at the front of the field here. We might start to see a lot of teamwork going on here. So what that means for anyone watching who might, we already see another car in the wall. Everyone's fans out into turn 2, people taking the pit exit road. We'll need to have a look who that is. I think that was Nicholas Pressy and Silvasi are dropping down the order.
And Till Langbin, he is a car with damage. And he has a left front or a right front that is not.
That's
boys.
not
going to be repaired.
That was a really weird way to lose the car. I mean, it's almost so the car in front vanishes, and then we're gonna have a massive stack up as someone's already wide and slow, and then we have another car, Silvasi, on top of another car there. That's really not good, as we've got the number 33 with some damage.
Langman gets up and gets into Strauss. Strauss kind of checks up, and Silvasi comes into him. He loses his rear wing and all his rear downforce. And then I think it's Pressy gets into Silvasi. So a lot of innocent victims a little bit further on back.
Yeah.
But I think Langman was involved in that opening wreck, and he's involved in the second wreck. So not making a lot of friends here in the early stages of this 400-mile race.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about with the car losing it on the bottom of the racetrack. So he was trying to avoid the who was that in the number 33? He was trying to avoid that sort of primary accident on the outside of it. Yeah, so Silvasi then spits himself back up the racetrack. Nothing he can do at that point.
Right.
He's sort of perpendicular to the circuit, and poor old Nicholas Pressy gets absolutely nowhere to go, straight into him, and that's unfortunate. We might, there we go, riding on board with him. So the secondary accident that happens there, he almost gets tagged once.
Yeah, he did a good job at avoiding the first one, but it ran him out of race room.
Yeah, 100%. It's stuff like this that this is really turning into a race of complete attrition. As oh my God, Langben blinding.
Look, go back a little bit further in the replay and watch his hands. They are 90 degrees. That car is just not turning. That is major aero wash. Maybe even had damage on the car from the previous incident. I don't know, but that car was not turning.
And then here we go with Silvasi and Pressy. Yeah, completely victimized, nowhere to go. But it's really interesting, the way he had to wind on the steering lock, and he wasn't right under the rear wing of the car in front. And maybe that's a new factor that we're going to have to start playing into these sort of aero battles with this new car. Is that seemed incredible aero wash for a car that's probably not too far back.
Yeah, again, we don't know. We don't have a lot of driver intelligence, at least on how these cars are going to behave, even in practice situations. The car is still kind of questionable with this new hybrid unit. It's adding extra weight. The center of gravity has changed to the car. So a lot has changed. So we're watching. It's kind of hard from us from an analysis point of view to even kind of put a pin on stuff, because that looked to me, but he also could have had damage from the previous incident that we didn't know about, that we possibly didn't see. So there's a lot of unknowns with that car, certainly, and it could be specifically local to his car, or it might be something they're all sharing out. Right now, though, up front for the three Altena Autosport teammates, it seems to be pretty smooth going, but a lot of the first 10 laps spin under caution.
Yeah, I mean, for the first 10 laps of this race, having, probably the best part of 50%, maybe not more, under caution, we're going to see that first pit stop window being pushed back by quite a big margin here. So especially with the drivers pitting under that first caution, I wouldn't expect to see anyone coming down pit road on this occasion under this safety car. But I'm being told, yeah. So some people might have done, actually, but just for a cheeky top up, if I was down sort of the rear end of the field with not many positions to lose, sort of playing the long game, having that few extra liters of fuel here and there will potentially be a massive asset to you. Not only for the next pit stop window coming up, but crucially for the end of the race. We might, with the way that this race often plays out, you might have a fuel save race, where guys are going to have to be pushing their limits of fuel saving to try and make it to the end on a potentially faster strategy. And I remember back to the Platinum Endurance Indy 500, we had a split strategy race going on with half the field pitting earlier and very early on in the race, probably 25 laps in, maybe sort of around the distance we're catching up to now. As Gary, I'm going to hand this over to you and we can continue this later on as we go back to green.
And there goes green flag. It is out now. Everyone starts spreading out again, starting back in the 17th spot, led by Nunez and Glindy. Bachhoven and Jesper Orman, they have all stopped on lap 9, so they're on a slightly different schedule now early in the race. But it is Efting, O'Sullivan, Altena, your top three as they go down the backstretch one more time. And let's see if we can get into this 400-mile race and get some laps of green under us. But everyone else right now is trying to send it to pick up some valuable track position. There's a shot with Stock and Christensen side by side at the north end of the racetrack.
Yeah, we saw Efting there into turn 3, unlucky enough to drop down to the 3rd position off that start. So it depends. We might see the VOR guys working close together off the bat straight away. Efting dropping down to 3rd. Maybe that's a strategic call in terms of the team, since he led a couple laps earlier on and wants to get some mileage out of that car if he can. But at the moment, fingers crossed as we see another swap. I think this is going to be a routine thing, Gary. Into turn 1 and turn 3, we might see a lot of this swapping going on at the front. And you can see the gap that they're starting to pull out already over Efting. And Efting, Steinecker, Gardner, those guys are going to have to get their thinking caps on to figure out how they're going to keep with this two leading duo.
Couple laps under our belt as we're now starting to set up a bit of a consistent run and get some consistent laps in. So O'Sullivan, your leader, Altena second, Efting in third, Steinecker in fourth, Gardner in fifth. Nigel Stock is now up to sixth. Actually started in sixth, is sixth. Christensen seventh, Vogelzang eighth, Dorian ninth, Sissek in 10th. Your biggest mover of the race as we go back to the 13th position is Yumit. He is up 19 spots, and Mauro Ramirez in 15th, up 16 spots, and they just stayed out and picked up track position. Here's Efting to the inside of Julian, back to third now. Move Efting up his position. Liam O'Sullivan now has the lead. We work our way through the south end of the racetrack, right in front of the Riley Children's Hospital Suites, and turn 2 down the back stretch.
I'm paying attention to that line that I believe, who was it? I think it was Stock that was running slightly wider than the cars in front in turns 1 and 2. And, that's a clear pointer to maybe having a little bit more understeer mid-corner, maybe running a little bit lower wing. This is going to be really interesting to see the different lines that these guys are going to be taking, as everyone is going to be running something completely different, no doubt. That we don't have sort of the know about values for these different setups, so it's going to be interesting to see as we now have Stock moving down another place. So I wonder if he's got a little bit of wing damage on that car.
He's running the high line, which you can do here. And in the past, the high line certainly after the first 10 laps of a run becomes OP because you just really keep your momentum up there. Right now, he's exploring the high line because, well, you go where the clean air is, and that's where the clean air is for him. He's getting air on one of those front wing planes to help his car rotate through the center of the corner. And he's getting that air while staying high, and the car in front of him, Vogelsang, taking the low line. So if he follows Vogelsang directly, he'll be getting a lot more aero wash. Problem is it doesn't seem like the momentum is working on the high line, at least in this part of this stint. We are now lap 16 of 160. There's a battle for position a little bit further on back between, is that Jeffrey Mathen and Yachi, as they were side by side. So we have two Sirius XM cars out there.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that, you know, as we watch on...
Caution!
Oh!
Heisman and Saranzo on the north end of the racetrack.
I think we saw that brewing in the background of the shots that, you know, maybe 1 or 2 laps ago down the front straight. They were dicing about using all sorts of funky lines. And I think that was sort of one in the making that probably could have been.
Yeah, we're going to see this here. A little bit of net code here, but neither one giving up. But, well, there was, that might be legit. If we get an IndyCar, we might see if that's a little bit closer. From my point of view, there was about a half a wheel of net code there. But still, it was going to be very, very tight. Here we're going to ride on board. Car to the inside is where we get the contact. And we got just quite to see it.
I mean, it looked very non-netcode-y, because you usually see with the netcode there's a sudden piff of contact from the car, and you usually see one car flying into the wall, whereas this looked a little bit more sort of progressive with the way that the spin happened, and it's so...
It's just a tap on the left rear. At the time when the car's the lightest in the corner, too.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you stick the nose up the inside there, when you with that much overspeed, I mean, you saw he was probably carrying a good 4 or 5 mile an hour more into the apex, and you know, when you start whooshing up like that, the doing anything apart from slamming on the brakes and causing a crash yourself is never going to work. So that was sort of fate determined as soon as he carried those few mile an hour more into the corner, and it's unfortunate because we now have another 2 potentially quick guys out of this race.
Yeah, we're on I think it's our 3rd caution. Right now, I'm paying attention to pit road. We got Chris Rice, Luis Nunez on pit road, along with Amon Lal. They decided to just come in and at least top off. There are tire limits, so you can't just throw on another set of tires. Well, you can if you want to. You're just dipping into your tire allotment. So, again, coming in to top off those tanks, to go on a slightly different strategy now. And really, this is now kind of a significant change in strategy, because if we were going green this entire time, we'd be halfway through, technically halfway through a green flag stint, give or take. We, typically, the rule of thumb in an IR18 is about 30 laps, sometimes more, sometimes less, but it seems to average out right around 30 laps. In fact, there's a very a strategy that I like to joke about Nick DeGroot, one of the motorsports journalists that also races IndyCar on iRacing. And one of the things he likes to do is always pit 30 laps from the end, regardless of if it's a half-distance race or a full-distance race. It's always lap 70 or 170. And it's the Nick DeGroot strategy. He's always pitting in at lap 170 or lap 70 to finish the race off, because it always seems to work out. These things can always do about 30 laps on field. So now we're about 18 laps into the race. Some people have just come down pit road and reset things. They now have a half a stint on the leaders who have decided to stay out. Now Clindy coming down pit road, former winner of the Velocity Online Racing.
There's a couple of guys in the background actually going down, and I think that might have been one of the, if I got the livery right, one of the VOR cars coming down.
Oh, and Clindy getting a black flag. I'm not sure if he maybe passed somebody coming down pit road, but he has a black flag now he has to answer.
Replay here. So is it crossing the pit line, the pit entry line? Should we ride on board with Clemworth down the pit lane? I mean, it could have been maybe speeding in the pits or overtaking a car in the pits. I mean, the pit speed limit here is 97 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, whichever you prefer to use. And it doesn't look like he's pushing it too hard, to be honest with you. Looks relatively maintained, you know, the way he slowed down. I mean, maybe he misjudged it slightly. Oh, we're hearing. Okay, we're hearing the pit was closed. Okay, so that will be why he got the penalty. Which, that's quite unfortunate. You know, knowing him, I would imagine that was probably closed as he sort of crossed the point of no return as the safety car, peels off into the pit lane, and F-Tink for the second time this evening will lead us to the green flag. Instantly, so many cars fanning out to the inside line, trying to pick up some easy positions as we head into turn 1. F-Tink relatively calm as he leads the field into the first couple of corners. We see a couple of two wide there with Bogozan and I think that might have been Christensen. So we see now a change for the lead actually, with O'Sullivan heading into turn 3 on the inside line. Expecting F-Tink not to fight this one too much, and he doesn't, so the VOR guys are swapping positions, straight back to it, business as usual, as we now look at Jamie Dory around the outside of who was that actually? Yeah, that might have been Bockhoven and Gastel. As we've got a fairly busy pack of cars here heading into turn 3. We'll see. You know, these guys need to be a little bit careful here, as there's been some incidents that have, you know, been able to easily be avoided early in this race. And you know, one thing I actually wanted to bring up before we had that caution was the topic of Luis Nunez. You know, albeit one race in, he is leader in the championship, and he did actually win an Indy 500 here in the VOR Championship a couple of seasons ago. As careful, fellas, we don't want to be ending any more races tonight. But anyway, you know, I would expect a few more places gained from him. I mean, he's up. What is that? He's after the pits. He was up 2 before the last caution.
He's right where he started right now this race. Sorry, I was having microphone problems. I don't know what to do. This is the new microphone that Race Spot wanted me to buy, so I'm blaming Race Spot right now. But again, I'm not sure what happened to Glindy. He should have entered pit road and should have saw a. Okay, so he should have had a red marker of some sort saying pit road was closed for him, but I'm not sure what happened. And I'm not sure what happened to Jesper Orman. Jesper is also down a lap at 24 spot, so I'm not sure what happened to Jesper. But back to your point, F-Tink now is their leader. Liam O'Sullivan second, Julian Altena third, and Christensen. So all of the Altena Auto Sports cars, 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the racetrack, and trying to put a little daylight between themselves and fifth spot is Henk Jan Steinecker. Steinecker is in 5th spot, followed by Vogelzang, Gardner, Zizek, Stuck, and Pim van Gastel back up. He's now in 10th spot. He's up 1 from where he started. Yeah, I'm not sure where Jesper got the black flag from.
It could have been another one of those pit road infringements. I mean, that's just a complete shot in the dark. I mean, I don't have any information to tell me otherwise, but we're going for the replay here to see what happened. It might have been because with the passing off the green flags, this is allowed, and the black flags are supposed to be cleared, but it doesn't look like he gets the jump on anyone and sort of leaves.
interesting what just happened in general. Yeah, and it's possible to come back from laps down to get a win here. Jacques Villeneuve did it in 95. He came back from 2 laps down, but that was a 500-mile race, so he has time. But he just has less time than Jacques Villeneuve had.
Yeah, well, you need to get a move on quickly, as we're already on lap 25. There's another tap of someone grazing the wall in the background there off of the final corner. These do look a little bit more tricky to keep in the confines of the circuit here, Gary. I don't know what your sort of impressions are off of this car with the first 26 laps that we've had running here, but it does look like these cars are almost a completely different beast when it comes to driving them right on the limit here.
Yeah, if I'm kind of sitting here kind of analyzing, I'm just kind of analyzing in silence. I'm not quite sure what to expect really with this car. That kind of makes this. I'm glad I'm doing this broadcast, because I got to do a broadcast on Sunday for the PRI Hoosier 500 that is going to deal with the exact same thing, and I'm getting an idea that maybe traditionally the Hoosier 500 doesn't have a lot of early cautions. We might see a spat of early cautions as the car is really a lot different. Going a little bit further back, Luis Nunez to the inside of Mathon, and he is bringing Jesper Orman right with them. Now Orman side by side as Orman goes ahead of Luis Nunez. That is just for track position, not for position on the standings right now. That is just track position.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, Nunez off such a dominant performance last time out at the Nürburgring, winning by north of 5 seconds. It's almost really interesting to see whether this is a strategic race that he's playing at the moment, sort of, trying to keep his nose clean as best he can, maybe expecting a few cautions, which we've had, and trying to rise towards the front of the field towards the end of the race, or whether he's genuinely struggling with this car at the moment. I mean, we'll see as we sort of progress through this. Well, I mean, I'll still call it a first stint, even though, if we were running green, we'd be seeing cars down to pit road in the next 2, 3, 4 laps or so. But it looks like he is struggling a little bit just for outright pace, as he's, you look there, he's already fallen off the back of Jesper Orman, and he's already having to sort of defend a little bit from Klenworth behind him into turn 1.
And Glenny's going to have a bit of a run down the backstretch on him. We'll see if he gets close enough, decides to pop out and take a stab at them in 3, and I think he will. Here he comes to the inside of 3. He's going to have his teammate in front of him giving him dirty air. But, wow, look at so much more momentum on the low side for Klindy. Either Lewis is pacing himself and he's on his own pace, or Klindy's setup right now is just more efficient than Lewis's. Normally, Lewis has a pretty good open setup as he tries to send it to the inside. So Lewis tries to send it to the inside. Now Lewis typically has a pretty good repertoire of setups, being that he's Fiercely Forward is sponsored by P1 Docks, and P1 Docks is a setup shop. But again, this car and this setup is literally hours old. I mean, you could count probably hours in terms of how old this thing is. Not just days, but hours old. So that is how new we're talking here.
Yeah, I mean, he looked a little bit frustrated almost with the body language of the car, the way he sort of lunged to the inside on turn 1 to try and have a go at anything in terms of getting the position back off of Kyle there in the 32, which I'm actually quite impressed with the way he's sort of coming back up through the field. He's up 4 places from his original spot. He's up into P14 at the moment, and he had that little whoopsie, I believe it was the first caution in this race. So he's obviously got that car back to pit road. The boys have done an amazing job fixing that car back up for him. And Jet, just look how close he's able to follow compared to some of the other cars we've seen tonight.
Well, this might be a good sign for him coming this Sunday if he's using his setup that he intends to use for race day on Sunday. He is looking pretty slippery right now, and that's one of the biggest things with the open setups. Typically with the open setup, your biggest downfall, as opposed to your opposition in open setup races, is how much drag you really want to put on the car, and he is looking very slippery right now.
Yeah, he's looking super fast. I mean, the way he's just glided past.
Oh,
we got
Jesper coming down, escaping to the pit road entry. Not actually, that's not the pit road entry road, just the access road in turn 3. Maybe just staying out of everyone's way, wants to go to the rear of the pack. He might actually, and that's kind of what he's doing. Yeah, he's popping out.
Yeah, he is.
He might be doing reconnaissance also for Rogue Racing and the race setup for the PRI Hoosier 500. Rogue Racing had like 4 cars make the lineup, so they might be doing some reconnaissance out here for the big show on Sunday.
Really, really interesting. You know, that'll be really interesting to watch him back on the ovals again. Obviously, after Nürburgring didn't quite go his way, you know, he probably would have wanted to find a bit more speed there, but obviously he's really at home here on these ovals as he instantly regains the place. But it's interesting to see these guys doing the reconnaissance laps. I mean, you know, obviously it makes sense if they've got the big race this coming Sunday, but I wouldn't complain if, you know, we saw them up at the front fighting as well, because having a good race at the front and being able to talk about that is always a pleasure. As we see Clendy back to the inside of the number 14, doesn't quite get that one done. But one thing that we haven't really mentioned too much is this new, well, we've talked about the weight of the new hybrid system, but these guys have access to it right here, right now. And the way that he's gliding past these cars almost, with you know, how it looks like he's almost running 0 wing and taken the wings off and sent them back to wherever they came from. Maybe he's just really found the way to manage this new power incredibly well.
Yeah, Clendy will be starting 25th on Sunday for the PRI Hoosier 500. 11 a.m. over on the PRI YouTube channel and also on their Facebook channel. Myself and Arjuna Kankapati will be doing the call on that race. But he qualified with a 4-lap average of 2:28 flat in 25th position. So he's got to come from deep in the field, where very few winners have come from. Deepest Indy 500 winner ever, 2 winners have come from the 28th position. Louis Meyer in 1936 when he introduced the milk to victory lane for the very first time. And the very first Indy 500 winner, Ray Haroon, when he took the first Indy 500 win in 2011, he started, or excuse me, in 1911, when he started 28th. And we got pit stops happening right now as F-Tank on pit road.
F-Tank and the other one dropping down. So that is, there was another guy dropping down as well in the background as Ramiro. Sorry. He's in the pits as well. So I would assume this would be a scheduled stop, possibly 4 tires, full tank of gas.
Yeah, 35 laps. I would have thought he would have been able to get closer to 40, unless he's doing a strategy. He's going to do just, he thinks now he can do it every 35 laps. I thought they would have been deeper into the, but he also spent an awful lot of time up front and leading. So maybe he just didn't get deeper into that run that I thought. So we're going to see now Christensen picks up the lead.
As now we have Mixer and O'Sullivan into the pit lane. So the alternate, I keep saying VOR, alternate Autosport cars coming in one after the other, so 1 lap after the next. And O'Sullivan looks like he's managed to save a little bit more fuel, which makes sense as he spent a lot of this race so far in the second spot as he now rips up the gears. And we have Christensen also into pit lane as well. So the car's breaking down from north of 200 miles an hour down to 60 miles an hour is almost always a challenge, as we see now Gardner. Yeah. Just as I was talking about how you need to get the cars down to that 60 miles an hour.
So a couple things going on here.
Yeah,
a couple things going on there to explain about. As we see, just also, and someone missed their mark.
Oh, no.
Not sure that was that Christensen.
That is.
He was our leader coming to pit road, and he missed his marks, and he's still trying to find him. He's still searching.
No. Oh, and he's still not found it. Oh, John.
But going back to Gardner's entry there,
what's going on here? Is he?
I don't know. It's either the guys aren't engaging.
Is there an issue?
And maybe he might have to end up, if he's out of fuel, he might just have to tow. And he punches out.
Oh, no. What a shame.
Very weird, glitchy there. Julian is the leader, and we expect to see Julian come to pit road about any time. But back to Gardner's point, on coming to pit road. Remember, these are not the same brakes they use on road courses. The brake discs on road courses are much thicker, and they have more grabbing power than they have on ovals. Ovals are thinner and smaller, and that is to alleviate on drag, and because they only need to be used a couple times during the race, and that's it. And that is why these cars are so hard to stop or slow down coming to pit road, because the stopping power that you're used to having on road courses simply doesn't exist here on ovals.
We see Alterna now down into his pit box. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. The car drops off the air jacks, leaves a nice set of 11s, and away he goes. So everyone that is now out on circuit is, I believe, off cycle. So Clendy is not off cycle. He's on the cycle.
He stopped on lap 19, I'm seeing. Oh, was that through a stop and go? Okay. So we'll see when he comes. We'll see when he comes to pit road here soon. So the first of the off cycle is Luis Nunez, I believe.
Yeah, so he now cycles to the front. This won't be off of pure racing performance. This will be because he, as we mentioned, is off cycle compared to the rest of the
Pretty sure he came
cars.
to pit road earlier, but not maybe 19. He maybe came to pit road on lap 9, maybe on one of those earlier cautions. He might have stepped in.
Yeah. If I just have a look at my my timing tower here.
Then back in third spot, we have Senna Bokhoven. Also, it says 33 laps into his current stint. We should be seeing him come to pit road about any time. Clendy 23, but Clendy's involved a drive-through penalty. But I'm pretty sure he stopped at lap 9. Clendy's going to stay out here. And then we'll also see when Nunez is going to pop back up to the lead here is Clendy getting underneath. That was Pim there, or that was Dory there. Now he's got Pim, that green car, in front of him.
It'll be a fairly easy pass as he pulls to the inside, and he clears him even before the corner. So that's a pretty easy pass there for Clendy, as he continues to lead this race. And yeah, so the top 8 at the moment are in the mid-20s in terms of their stint, and whether, you know, with regards to drive-throughs and penalties and black flags and you name it, we're not quite sure as to what the exact hit times are, as Bokhaven is now making his stop as he
missed his mark.
Misses his box. Oh, dearie me. Not as bad as we saw Christensen earlier, who had to actually go round again.
Yeah, I think he had some sort of glitch or something, and that's going to affect. He was leading. Caution on the racetrack, and Micah Mixer on the front stretch. Oh, no. That could have been very bad, but that's very good for Clendy. And everybody on this alternate strategy, they can come to pit road now if they choose to do so. But Micah Mixer on the front straight, right at the pit attenuator.
Oh, my
wow.
God.
He is just a spinning top.
Yeah, it was very well done to actually get himself away from the racing line there and well off the circuit.
Okay, let's watch this replay, and that is too much apron right there. Too much apron as he comes out to the wall, misses the inside. He missed the apex, grabs too much apron, and as comes out and smacks the wall, then bounces off the inside and is like a spinning top all over the racetrack. Right as, and you might want to check the view from Clendy in car. Clendy was coming right at that. Imagine seeing this coming up the quarter.
Oh, my word. Yeah, he slowed that down very nicely, didn't he?
All right, so we're going to actually clean the slate here of stops on a lot of these drivers here. Then we'll have an idea of definitely fuel stops that involve tires versus drive-through penalties, that type of stuff. But I would imagine Clinty would be coming to pit road 26 laps into his current stint, regardless of when he stopped last. He's just 26 laps, so he's in the window anyways to come. Luis Ninya's 27, Amon Lal 27, Fiola's 27. As they're all on pit road.
Okay, so they're all down making their stop, which we would have expected to happen in the near future should it have stayed green anyway, which now means that the Altana Autosport trio retakes the lead with Liam O'Sullivan actually taking the lead from F-Tink. So if you remember when we watched F-Tink come into his box, he messed up a little bit, I think, if I recall correctly. Went a little bit too long, missed his box, so that's cost him the lead, which I'm sure he will get back off the restart here with the swapping that the teammates up front have been doing all evening long.
There's a ton of cars in front of the leader, though, that will get a wave around. Mathon, Ramirez, Christensen, Jesper Orman. In fact, this might bring Jesper Orman back to the lead lap, which I believe it will. So again, I said long race, not as long as a 500-miler, but if you show some patience and catch the caution at the right time, you could get back on the lead lap. Also in front of Jesper's Stock, Dory, and Pim. They'll get the wave around as well.
Yeah, it's very much, it's very much a drive as fast as you can race, as it is a strategy race. I mean, this event is so different to anything on the motorsport calendar that it almost requires its own mentality, I'll call it, or its own way of thinking. You need to tackle the race in a completely different manner to anything else that there is in the racing year. And I think, that's what Jesper is managing to do pretty well at the moment. I mean, looking at him 10, 15 laps ago when he was the lap down, you probably would have thought, okay, wonder what his plan is here to sort of get himself ahead and back on that lead lap. And all he needed to do was wait for the caution. Luckily, he didn't stress too much, kept himself out of trouble in the rear of the pack and got that wave around, and now he's back on the lead lap and hopefully can make some progress.
If any of these guys come around and head down pit road, they might not have time on the wave around guys. Pit road is open. They can come to pit road if they want to.
I'd be very interested to see if any of the leaders come down pit road here. I mean, that would be a very interesting strategy call to make, considering that the bulk of the stoppers came round into pit lane last time.
Yeah, I don't think sometimes the wave around guys, they can take a gamble and they can get down there, and the problem is they need to move really quick. Can't make any mistakes, and then when they got to come back out immediately because they're just not going to be with the pack when they go green at all. They'll be kind of by themselves. But right now, the leaders through the north end of the racetrack, turns 3 and 4. They'll turn the restart over here to Liam O'Sullivan, former winner here in the Velocity Online Racing Indy 500. Gordon F-Tink in second, Julian Altena in third, Strecke in fourth, and Vogelsang in fifth. Vogelsang, kind of your biggest gainer up into the top 5. He's up 5 spots. We go green this time. We're back underway.
I think it was Ramirez actually who peeled off into the pit off the green, just at the background there. I wonder what that's about, as we see them come through time.
Comes Clinty to the inside. He sees them racing ahead of him. He thinks he's going to get a shot here. He's going to get at least 1 shot, maybe 2, going into 3. Oh, lots of room on the outside, still side by side.
They need to be careful here running. They need to be careful here. Running side by side for too long can open up that gap, and you can see already there's a small gap being opened up in front of them, and they're all starting to stack up behind now. As you can see, Nunez in the fiercely forward P1 Docs car trying to get involved. Really close racing here as we sort of head towards lap 50 in this Indianapolis race here for the first time of the hybrid era.
Zhang on the inside. It's Strecke. in that high line, showing a lot of momentum right now. He's able to hold him off using the high line. All the while, the Altena Autosports trio of F-Tink, O'Sullivan, and Altena like what they see behind them, and they just want to kind of inch away. But they're all together, and there's sort of a bit of a gap now back from Clindy back to Nunez in seventh. So the top seven put him under a blanket, as now Nunez has cleared Volkov and now can make a run at Clindy if he needs to.
Yeah, Nunez doesn't want to give that place up, does he? He's fighting that one tooth and nail to try and keep that that 8th place his and only his. But he does need to watch out, as he's got a 1.5 second gap to the leader now, and that's going to be, you know, a good couple of tenths to the car in front, which you won't lose the draft from there, but you need to be careful of too much battling. Because once you drop out of that draft, it's very, very difficult to regain it if the guys in front are working so well, which it looks like they are at the moment.
Yeah, the draft envelope on these cars extend, as you mentioned, the 1.5 second gap. That's where the draft envelope extends to on the back of these cars, about approximately 1.5 seconds. Long as they're within 1.5 seconds of the car immediately in front of them, they will be getting the benefits of the draft, or the non-benefits of an aero wash through the corners. But through these long straights here at Indianapolis, 5/8 of a mile stretches here, they'll be able to use that draft to is a bit of a great equalizer. As O'Sullivan to the inside of Roden, and he will get the spot and move back up to the lead. Steinecker got around Julian, now moves Steinecker to third.
Yeah, you'd be interested to see that Altena letting Steinecker go there. I believe they aren't part of the same team, so that obviously would not be planned. And I would imagine he would nip straight back up the inside, as he almost gets half covered off there into turn 3.
Kind of surprised about the move O'Sullivan made down the backstretch, to a bit of a snake attempt to kind of break the draft at this point in the race. It's kind of early to be doing that. The draft is going to be there. I'm going to be saving those moves for a little bit later, but he's a former winner here in the 500-mile race, so he's got the experience. He knows what he's doing, so maybe he's doing a bit of a call on team comms to maybe dip down low and maybe try to lend the draft to Julian in fourth, that maybe move Julian ahead of Henk, so maybe that's possible. But top 3 right now, it's F-Tink, O'Sullivan, and Steinecker, as we are now in the north end of the racetrack in 3 and 4.
Tell you what, Eli Sasek is looking very racy at the moment in that number 99. He's crawling all over the back of the rear wing of Merlin Vogelsang, and potentially a move could be on in the next couple of laps. The thing is here,
to the inside of Sisek. You're talking about Sisek up 13 spots. Glendy up 11. He took a peek, just couldn't quite get the car alongside though.
That's the thing with these cars, you have to set the move up almost laps in advance, and because Sasek couldn't get that move done on Vogelsang in front, Benworth saw that opportunity, saw him with the lack of momentum, and tried to snap at the heels and snatch up any opportunity that opened up for him.
Shout out to another driver that's been making up some move, Brian Fiolis. He's at 11th spot, up 15, but he also had a penalty to start from the rear of the field. We got a car in the wall coming off of turn 4, and that is Dory.
Oh my God.
And that is not going to be a caution, but he's going to make it to pit road. But he smacked the wall coming off of 4, and a lot of evasive action behind him. And wow, watch all this here. Right behind him, Gary. I think that is Christensen. Oh, snap loose.
Oh. I tell you what, Gary, looking at the amount of curb that he took on the inside, I think this is going to be a carbon copy of that crash we saw earlier. So we come through turn 3, absolutely fine. And just watch the amount of curb usage.
Oh,
yeah, so all over it. Loses the rear. Bang.
Oh, yeah, Christensen. I don't even think Christensen slowed down. He was just like, well, Olsen.
That is that is cat-like reflexes from Christensen there. Had his luck of fair share. Bad luck early on in the race, counting his lucky stars there, no doubt, as he is currently the last of our running cars at the moment. As we now see Steinecker under attack from Altena, who gets through. I don't think Steinecker would want to fight that one too much. considering the front two have somewhat of a gap, I'll say. It's not race defining, but it's something that you need to sort of watch out for as they continue to swap, and sort of very close here actually between Sasek, Kyle, and Vogelsang. You know, he might need to start watching his tyres here, Clemworth, because following that close for too long inevitably will start chewing your front tyres. You know, I'd wonder if he would start to drop back over the next couple of laps, maybe preserve some tyre life, cool down the temperatures, cool down the car even, because, you know, you struggle with water temps here sometimes if you're following a little bit too close. Or he could be driving full attack with that weight jacker ramped way, way, way up, which we haven't actually paid that much attention to be honest. We've been so occupied with this new hybrid system that the real thing that drivers are used to working lap on lap, corner on corner, is that weight jacker. And it looks like he could be running something a little bit more aggressive as we now look at Clemworth having a look on Sasek, maybe? No.
I think maybe Clinty's, I think maybe he's pacing himself now. He's got himself in a position where he wants to be. He's got the lead all in front of him. We know that he has been very slippery. He has a good setup. He has tires that are 6 laps to the better than the group in front of him. So there's really no reason to push on it, especially if he knows that the group in front of him is eventually just on their own going to come to pit road and get out of his way. Being that they're 22, 23, 19, 20, and 19. That is at 19 laps. So that's the stint lengths of the cars in front of them. So they're all going to come to pit road probably in about 10 laps or so, and he'll just naturally pick up the lead. One other to your point on the on that incident that we just saw with Dory, getting down on the apron here on that concrete. That white portion is concrete. Now, back in the day, not too long ago, you might have maybe remember seeing a wreck coming to the start of a restart of one of the Indy 500s, and that was Connor Daly. And he did very much the same thing, grabbed too much of that concrete down low there, and it is pretty flat down there, and that will help the car unload. But even predating all that, back in the day, those used to be rumble strips down there, and the cars never would get down to the white. They would hit the rumble strips, and it would disrupt them big time. But the Speedway has ended up just removing those altogether. Now, some drivers in the real world can get down there. Other drivers can't. But it is something that you can do. But when you do it, you do risk exactly what happened to Dory a few laps ago. But as O'Sullivan, F-Teak, Altena, Steinecker, and Vogelsang, your top 5, and Sissek and Glenworth 6th and 7th. But the top 6 are on a slightly different pit strategy in terms of stints of length than the drivers behind them, 7th on back.
Yeah, it's interesting just looking at the field here as they come towards us into turn 3. We've sort of at the front got groups of, or pairs rather, of cars rather than everyone sort of sticking together in sort of one massive long train. And I wonder if that's going to be something that is just because we have those different strategies going on at the moment with the top 6, etc. But, you know, I'm really surprised that Clendy hasn't got past Sasek here. He's been sat all over the rear wing of him for the best part of 8 laps. And I'm sure Nunez would love to give him a little nudge and say, you know, come on, buddy, let's get past this one. We want to sort of start pushing towards the top 6. But, you know, with the amount of experience he has over mine, I'm sure that he's got some sort of wizardry master plan going on in that cockpit that I just can't quite fathom yet.
Yeah, we've got to keep in mind, even though that we saw Clindy and Nunez passing people left and right, they started from the rear of the field, so they're trying to make up a lot of track position. Now they have the track position. Everything is directly in front of them that they need to be, just because, and a lot of the racer, the people watching, it's like, well, Clindy must be in some problem. He's having a hard time getting around Sissek. Could very well be just on his own pace, just trying to hit his own number now, because he was in a position before where he couldn't really conserve fuel, or is he in a position that it would not be in his advantage to conserve fuel? He takes a look to the inside of Sissek this time.
It's going to be side by side off of turn 3 into 4.
And he's going to clear him this time. But it's very possible that Clinty's on his own pace, and just that his pace that he's on now allows him just now to pass Sissek. So now Clinty starts to pull away a little bit, and he goes down, attacks Vogelsang.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Sasuk starts worrying a little bit here, because everyone behind him is on that sort of younger, I'll call it the younger strategy with those fresher tyres. And hopefully he doesn't drop too far down the pack for his own sake. But with, the sort of 5-lap tyre advantage.
Oh, that's a late send by Nunez. That's a late send, and then slides up in front of him. I don't think Sissek was expecting that, and then Nunez kind of did a late send and got underneath him and cleared him in the short chute. But that, again, a little bit of a late send. I don't think Sissek was kind of expecting that.
That was a beautiful move from Mr. Nunez. Absolutely textbook. Sliding up in front of them, giving them a tiny bit of dirty air for good measures. And to be honest, those tyres in comparison from Nunez to Sasuk, who is on those older tyres, look about as useful as a chocolate fire guard.
You're talking about all the things that these drivers have to control in the cockpit. Even in fixed setup races, they would be using the weight jacker and the anti-roll bars, and then now engine maps they have access to. And now on top of that, they have access to the hybrid. Even in a fixed setup race, they would have their hands full. In an open setup race, they even have more of their hands full because when they come to pit road, they can make aero adjustments and air pressure adjustments in the tires. So just another element that they have that they need to keep track of over the course of driving these cars, making truly driving the IR18 one of the most challenging cars on all of iRacing, just simply because of everything that you've got to keep track of in the cockpit. It's almost like being a fighter pilot.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's one of the most difficult cars to be able to fully master, and I don't think anyone can fully master the car without putting hours and hours of practice in. And just like you say, this often I refer to driving these cars around this circuit as trying to go pack racing in a fighter jet. You've always got 1,001 things to manage. You've got ARBs, as you say, weight jackers. Now, you've got hybrid systems now. There's so much. It's when people say it's a chess game, it's no joke.
And I did see a car dipping off in the background. Mauro Ramirez coming to pit road, and that's let's get ready to say probably a precursor to our leaders coming in because they were right about at the same stint length. And here comes Liam O'Sullivan to pit road.
Yep.
Scheduled stop for our leader. He went 30 laps into his stint, so he can only do 36 on this stint. He did 36 on the first stint, so he 30 on this stint, 36 on the first stint. Yep, well, there's a lot of cautions on the first one. Oh, and he comes in sideways in his box, but he does hit the marks. A lot of cautions on the first stint. This shows you with the limited cautions on this next stint how much less further he could go.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that because if you remember the first round of pit stops, it was actually his teammate Eftink was the first to pit road.
Eftink now? As
Eftink now goes the lap later. So the roles are reversed in the Altena Autosport garage. The two leaders who came down one after the other in the first pit stop window now come down in the second pit stop window, although it be the two drivers have been inverted, so to say. So hopefully Eftink stops it nice and smoothly. He doesn't go long this time. He'll be pleased with that. Car goes up on the jacks. I would assume it's going to be 4 tyres and a tank full of fuel. And there he goes away. No wheel spin this time. Likes to preserve maybe a little bit more in those tyres compared to his rivals, as we now pan back to Milan Vogelsang, who,
I think
is that Strecke?
Yeah, Strecke, I think maybe might have been making some adjustments in his black boxes on pit road and kind of gets up in the wall a little bit. That's about the only thing I can think of other than maybe he just basically went to sleep for a little bit. If his monitors gave out or his VR gave out, he'd probably put it up against the wall and just ride it out. But I got to think that maybe he was going to a black box. So Strecke probably coming to pit road here very shortly, and I think that might have been a black box related incident.
Yeah, so the top 3 are on 30, 31 and 30 laps respectively, so expect them down in the next couple of laps or so, which then would leave Carl Clenworth, as you said earlier, as our new leader, who would then be followed by Nunez and not Sasek, because Sasek's on
I think it'll be
31 laps on
Lal.
his stint. Yeah, it would be Lal in the number 13 car. So that would be your new top three once all of these pit cycles have gone through. And it's almost like we're going to start having, you know, the almost like a velodrome cycling kind of thing with two different packs waiting for the second pit stop to sort of re-merge as one, so to say.
Term you don't hear an awful lot is Steinecker coming to pit road. Velodrome. You must be a biker because there's a very famous velodrome here in Indianapolis, not too far from the speedway, as a matter of fact. And the Major Taylor Velodrome, named after a African American bike racer from the early days of bike racing, and that's not too far from the speedway, and a lot of speedway routes there in that area of the neighborhood.
I'm to be totally honest with you, I'm not much of a cycler. I don't live too far from the velodrome that was used in the 2012 Olympics in the UK, which is a very cool place. You know, but anyway, getting slightly sidetracked. Vogelzang goes to pit road. So Altena has gone 33 laps on his stint. So I would expect him. Yeah, I would expect him down next lap as a maximum, I would possibly say. I would highly doubt him to go 35.
Lindy using Pim a little bit to draft down the backstretch. And they used the Major Taylor Velodrome here in Indianapolis when the Pan Am Games were here in the 80s, which is kind of like an American or a Olympic level event, but mainly for countries and teams of this hemisphere. And the opening ceremonies actually were held here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
That's a pretty cool fact. I didn't know at all. You know, it wasn't actually till too long ago that I actually realised that they have a golf course on the infield here, which is quite a cool thing to have. And you know, being able to play around a golf, if you hit a ball a little bit too hard, you might end up hitting a race car, which is something that I thought about. But I'm sure that very rarely happens.
Well, while we watch this, I'll give you a chance to talk a little bit about the background of the speedway. It does have the Brickyard Crossing Golf Course. It's a Pete Dye designed 18-hole public golf course. You can come to Indianapolis and visit the city, and if you get a tee time in and want to pay the greens fees, you can also golf here on this course. It is the home course of Speedway High School's golf team. Speedway High School not too far off of Turn 4, back behind the Speedway a little bit. But this is their home course. There are 4 holes in the infield. And on top of the 4 holes at the infield, there is, as we see Clitty going in through Turn 3. At the infield of Turn 3, there's actually a dirt track that is used for the, I forget, it's in September, I think, for a Brickyard or a Brickyard Dirt Course championship they have there. For Brian Tyler, I think, on his in his memory. But there's a course there. And actually, if you were to look at this facility from the air, you could fit Notre Dame Stadium. You could fit the Coliseum. And I believe that's also the Coliseum in L.A., the Coliseum in also Rome, the Vatican, Yankee Stadium, and Churchill Downs, and still have room in the infield.
That's actually quite impressive. I've never been to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the real world, but you know, just hearing that is quite a testament to how big this place most likely is. There was a car perpendicular in the pit lane. I don't know if we caught that. And he's wrecked up the pit road. Yeah, he's torn the front nose clean off of that car. That's not what you want to be doing there, Sunshine.
Oh, let's see. Let's see what happened. He was in his box, and then I'm kind of looking back from my replay too. And as after his stop, oh, you know what? I don't think he engaged the button yet. And then he was waiting to give up to the limit or something, re-engaged the button, and the back end lit up and just turned him into the inside wall. This is after his pit stop.
So yeah, he exits the pit box. and then just completely lights the rears. Oh,
I
that's
don't
not
think he was on the button. I think he. There are some drivers that prefer not to use the button.
It's interesting. Yeah, because
You
I know.
don't have to.
Yeah, because I know in the road side, I mean, my oval experience on iRacing is quite limited. Although on the road side, I have a lot more knowledge and experience, and I know on almost every single circuit, the pit limiter will put you to, in this case for this circuit, 60 miles an hour or 97 kilometers an hour. But there is actually a grey area with either maybe 1 or even 1.5. Some tracks nearly even 3. Kilometers an hour leeway, as we see now Gardner making his they're all into the pit lane, in and out, as we also missed Sasuk came into the box. How long ago was that? That was about 3 laps ago now.
Well, I do
so
know,
he's now dropped back down.
To your point about on pit road with the rev limit, or with the speed limiter, the rev limiter on pit road, there's a bit of a bog down that when you come off the jacks and then you start to accelerate, if you're on the limiter, there's a bit of a bog coming out of the pit road. If you disengage it, you could actually rocket out of your spot and then re-engage the button before you get to the limit. Lindy, wow, slid through. Lindy slid through, coming to pit road, and I'm surprised he didn't get a black flag, but he got it down, and I think he kind of hits that little bit of that gray area you were talking about, JJ, where you watch him come to pit road. He slides through, and he slid through at least one box, I know, over the pit road speed limit, but he got down, and he maintained that pit road speed limit for the remainder of his run through. But I think he hit that gray area you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people often, when they get a good pit entry in iRacing, they reference it to a NASA pit entry. And my friend, I think we just saw the Apollo 11 pit entry there into pit road, as he now makes his way back out onto the circuit, fully serviced. Maybe
and as the leader, he's going to pick up the lead. He's going to come to pit road as the leader, and he's going to come back out as the leader, as he is ahead of Julian on this run. And as Julian's trying to run him down, but two different strategies. Julian 6 laps on these set of tires. A little bit of a fresher set of tires for Clinty, but he's a little bit heavier at the moment. Here comes Julian with a big run down the front straight.
We're going to see if he can pull off this move down into turn 1. The Altena boys are, I'm sure, not going to be best pleased with getting completely their asses handed to them in that sense in the pit stops this time round, with Clendy going completely to the lead and catching them completely off guard. But it looks like Altena might just sit behind. I wonder if this is going to be another fuel save until the end. Let's not fight, considering we still have 80 circuits of this beautiful venue left to do tonight. But
way home.
Yeah, we'll see how this one plays out. But I think Clendy is done, if I'm honest with you, quite a blinder.
Yeah, it's very hard. All these drivers, once you get behind the wheel, if you're a regular IR18 pilot, it's very hard to deprogram yourself to not want to sit down and do fuel saving. That's a lot of people understand when in these IR18 races, these Alara IndyCar races, the first thing that all these drivers, the majority of these drivers, especially those that have a lot of experience in the car, Clinty's one of those, Julian's one of those, Liam's one of those, Luis Nunez is one of those. The very first thing, they can't help it. It goes into fuel conservation mode right off the bat. You really don't have this in any other type of series or car on iRacing. You don't immediately start thinking about, I got to save fuel. And that's the first thing that every IndyCar racer thinks about is, I got to save fuel. Because the last thing is, what you're trying to do is set yourself up for your last stop. And you want your last stop to be as short as possible. And if you could save off having to just get the bare necessities in your car for that last stop, you make that last stop as quick as possible. That's where you pick up a lot of track position. And it's just hard to deprogram yourself from that. And I really think Julian might have had his chance at getting a shot on Clinty. But then he's like, you know what? I'm just going to draft off the guy. But Clinty now, he's starting to close it up on Stock, who's down at the tail end of the lead lap. And Clinty now is getting the benefit of his draft, while Julian is getting the benefit of Clinty's draft.
Yeah, we could have a little bit of a runaway thing. I mean, so in terms of a quick rule update for you, the lapped cars do not have to get out the way. So Stock can sit there if he wants to. he can just run his own race, not have to get out the way and lift. Although I believe it is the last 50 laps, or it might even be 30 laps. It is. No, sorry, the final 10 laps
Yeah,
even.
that's 10 laps.
Gosh. The lapped cars will have to move out the way. So if this was a last 10 lap scenario, we would have to see stock completely lift out the throttle and completely let the leading group of, I think that's what, the top 8, I think, have to let them through and tag on off the end of that. But because we still have 76 odd laps to go, stock can do whatever he likes. And at the moment, it seems like he's probably annoying Julian a little bit too much.
Clendy now pulls away about a second over Julian here at the world's most famous race course, located on the west side of Indianapolis in a town called Speedway, which is actually part of Indianapolis. So Indianapolis has several smaller towns inside of it, and Speedway is one of those. Located at the corner of 16th and Georgetown. That's where the ticket office is, right there behind turn 1. And Clinty just goes through, just going over the main entrance there between turns 1 and 2. Of course, if you visit for the anywhere in Indianapolis and you want to see the Speedway, you got to come to the brand new Hall of Fame Museum that they just renovated. Before, the place definitely reeked of the 1970s, I'll tell you that much. Looked like the 1970s, smelled like the 1970s in that place, but apparently have turned it into quite the go-to attraction now. Multimedia type attraction.
You know, talking about things that are behind turns 1 and 2, that casts my mind back to a certain accident that happened at turns 1 and 2, and I think it was one of the, gosh, I can't remember it. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I want to say Castro Neves had a huge accident in turn 2, and one of his wheels actually went over the fence and clattered into one of the cars in the parking lot, causing a little bit of damage to that unlucky spectator.
That was Kirkwood. That was Kirkwood's car.
It's Kirkwood.
Yep, and there's a parking area behind between the grandstands at turn 2 and the suites there in turn 2, it was actually a big safety issue because those tires are actually tethered to the suspension and everything, and one was ejected into the parking lot there, and that dinged a lady's new car. I think she just got the car, and the Speedway ended up buying her a new car. It was, I think she had a little Chevy Cruze, and of course Chevrolet sponsor. Oh, car on the wall coming off a new. That is a Steinecker, yeah. He rubbed up against that turn 2 wall a little bit, but he got off it, but it cost him a lot of momentum down the backstretch. But I think
I can see here,
Doug Bowles ended up buying a new car for that woman. But right here, this is where the incident happened in real life with the tire, and then Steinecker, boom. That was a good hit. That was a good hit.
Yeah, he's lucky with that one. He was very lucky that he sort of pancaked the wall with that front right tire, and from what it looks like, the front wing is okay. But back when I did a lot of IndyCar driving, you can take what I named, sort of 0x damage, I used to call it, where you would get the 0x for touching the wall. Your car would feel absolutely fine. You wouldn't get an X to indicate any damage with any walls or anything, but you would end up losing just a tiny little bit of performance, which round here, as I'm sure everyone watching knows, every ounce of performance is absolutely vital.
Yeah, you lose a little bit of pace. Here's Glendy going again through the south end of the racetrack. The racetrack sits just very, very neatly north, south, east, west, very perfectly. Not sideways or anything. It's just that everything here in Indiana and Indianapolis is very much on a grid pattern. So he is now at the north end of the racetrack, behind the turn 3 grandstands, which he's racing through now. There's a neighborhood back there. Actually, someone in one of the taller trees there built a tree house at the back of their house there. And they can climb that tree and then watch practice, and actually they can watch the race from their backyard, from their treehouse for free.
No way. Yep. That's incredible. That's almost like what you see at Imola. Oh, the track goes yellow, and someone towed.
Not sure who it was. Buckhoven again?
A flash of...
Buckhoven again, yes. Oh, big hit. We'll see here when we get the replay queued up. but he got loose on the exit of turn 3 and does a massive tank slapper, and right as he gets through the short chute. Oh, he had a damaged car anyways, and he's actually in the north end of the racetrack there, or south end of the racetrack. I think it gets worse for him on the north end of the racetrack. Let's see. He's damaged now.
Yeah, it was a weird moment there. It's almost like he put the car into the wall for the second time on his own. I mean, I'm sure that wasn't intentional. Oh, way too low there.
Yep. And he's probably had a damaged car to begin with, and just a lot of physics going against him right here as we watch him go too low. He grabs the grass there at the exit and smacks the wall there in the right near the tunnel that goes underneath turns 3 and 4.
You see him slightly open up the steering there once he realized he was on that apron. He sort of, was a bit like, okay, I need to get off of this. This is bad news. And as soon as he starts putting in lock to open up the steering wheel, that's when the car went. And from that point on, as we've seen now, well, for 3 times tonight, that is never a winning combination. The front left tire and the apron on the inside of the circuit is seeming to be a definite no-go more than ever.
I think everyone's just going to come to pit road now. We're kind of at that point in Clindy's run. He's 12 laps into his stint. That you're kind of past that 10-lap opening portion of your stint. You're a third of the way in. I would imagine he comes to pit road. I don't think, even if he does come to pit road, I don't think he'll lose the lead because he will have to put in less fuel than Julian anyways. So basically it's going to come down to Clindy hitting his marks. Aeon. I also think some of these guys that didn't stop not too long ago, Nunez, I think Nunez is going to pick up a couple spots here because he'll have a shorter fill than the cars in front of him. So coming to their stalls, hitting their marks, we'll watch Clindy. We'll watch Nunez right in front of him. A little bit further on down, we'll see Julian, F-Tink, and O'Sullivan all hit their marks. Clindy down and away. He's already moving.
See the race off pit road here. We'll see as they come round the pit stalls. It is
Clindy
that wins it.
Yep,
Nunez
I figured Nunez would pick up at least one. He does, because he just had simply a shorter fill. That's just all it was. He could spend shorter time in the box unless they held him there for some reason. And versus F-Tink. F-Tink was going to have a full fill, so that explained that.
What's going to be interesting now is What's going to be really interesting now is, for the first time in this race, we're going to see all 3 Altena Autosport cars not occupying the top 2 positions. So this is going to be really interesting. They've led the race almost, well, for the best part of the entire race. Minor when they've been pitting and when they've been cycling through their strategies. So now we're going to see how their take of this new IndyCar will deal in traffic, as they currently sit, so 3rd for Julian, 4th for Liam, and then I believe F-Tink is in P6, so behind Nunez. So, I mentioned earlier, Nunez was off to what I thought was a little bit of a meh, didn't really make too many positions off the start. Oh boy, was I wrong. He's currently up in P5, up 12 places, and that just shows my my eagerness to want to race too hard at the start. I would probably make a horrendous IndyCar driver here tonight.
Yeah, you do well in the Indy Oval Series. Those are sprints. This is more of a mini marathon, being at 400 miles. But Charles Draculettes actually has decided not to stop, and he is 33 laps into his current stint. He stopped last on lap 79. I'm wondering if he's maybe that he's got, well, let's see. Yeah, he says 15 laps in my one overlay, and it says he stopped on lap 79 on my other overlay. So that's actually the math. The math works out there right. So, okay, so he's 15 laps into his stint. So I got one overlay showing one thing and another, so we'll refresh that. But he's taking a bit of a gamble. He's about halfway through his stint. He's going to stay out, pick up some track position. Going to be curious to see how he's going to hang on to the lead with those older tires. So he's going to pick up the lead. He's going to restart right now. But behind him will be Clindy, Altena, O'Sullivan, and Nunez with brand spanking new Firestone tires. How long can Charles hold them off?
It will be interesting to see how the new tires will fare compared to the lighter fuel load that he will have. He'll probably pull a little bit of a gap off the start here, having the better launch and, of course, being the one controlling the pace. He will have the launch, as Nunez already gets a little bit of an overlap. He's hungry and eager, tucks back in behind O'Sullivan, and Charles manages to keep the lead with a little bit of a gap, but do expect that to close back up with the strength of the draft here. And I just wanted to point something out, actually, with the pit stops. We said that Nunez picked up a good few positions, but he didn't actually have the fastest stop of the top 5. That award, I'll say, goes to actually Kyle Clenworth with a 8.083 seconds, and then the next quickest was in fact Julian with an 8 seconds 115.
Yeah, that makes sense with Clindy having to do a shorter fill. But now the top 3, Charles has actually got some good pace on him. Remember, his car is going to be lighter the cars in front of it, and also he gets the benefit of the clean air, but Clinty's going to have a big run coming down the backstretch.
I think this could be potentially game over. I reckon as soon as Charles gets back into the dirty air, we'll soon start to see that car fade back down the circuit as Nunez again with a signature move, it looks like, having that look into turn 3 on O'Sullivan, not messing about whatsoever. He wants to get this over and done with. He's got one VOR car in the rearview mirror. He wants 2.
All right, so I think I see what Clinty's doing. Here comes Nunez to the inside with a late send on O'Sullivan, and he's going to be side by side going through the short chute. They got to watch each other, make sure Netco don't take over. We got 2 international drivers. Careful, coming off the corner down the backstretch. It's a drag race, and Julian is not going to pop out and help Nunez. He is going to stay in line. He's going to help O'Sullivan, his teammate, with the draft, and F-Tink decided to take a stab at it.
That was very, very close. You know, with being so early in the championship, I don't want to drop in, you know, these are your 2 championship contenders because we've still got a long way to go. But still, those were your 2 top in the championship. But, you know, I'm hearing that Nunez has been jumping the start maybe a little bit more than he should be allowed to. And I would not be surprised if that comes under investigation from our stewards come the end of the race.
Just remember, this is just like the old Indy 500 from the 70s and 80s and 90s. They always used to say all results were unofficial because they had to wait till the morning after for USAC to certify the results. And it wasn't until the Monday after the 500 the race would become official. So unofficial results possibly at the end of this one. But Clindy, I think, is just kind of biding his time on Charles. He probably now knows that Charles is into a run that's a little bit deeper than his. He'll eventually get out of the way naturally. And Clindy's just kind of now working on fuel mileage, and right behind him, I think Julian's doing the same thing. I don't think you're going to see a lot of racing here at the top, knowing that Charles is just going to have to get out of the way anyways. And we still have another stop or 2 to go before we start really slugging this thing out.
And that sort of keeps everyone happy, doesn't it? Because Charles gets his time at the front. Kyle doesn't have to push the hole in the air for everyone behind him, so he gets to save a bit of fuel as well. Julian will, no doubt, nothing will really change for him apart from maybe a bit more dirty air. And yeah, as you say, Charles has the best part of just over 10 laps left in his stint, so we'll be seeing that number 88 leading the way probably for a fair few laps longer, unless he was to make a slight mistake or the run would just be too good not to say no for Clendy as they head into turn 3.
If we can get the director, let's do a ride-along on Clindy, and we'll listen as he goes down the front straight here. He's going to get a big run on Charles, and you just got to hear he doesn't do anything with it. He just kind of sucks right up. Watch this. He gets a little closer, lifts a little closer, lifts a little closer. You know, and then at some point you kind of hear He's in 5th gear. He doesn't even go to 6th. At some point, you kind of hear the revs just kind of stay at a constant level. He's not going any faster. He's just kind of biding his time. Now, he's going to have a big run coming off a 2 this time. But again, look, he doesn't even really take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's just smart stuff from Clemworth, using all of his experience to maximise this car that's off strategy in front of him. And just before we actually went onto this onboard, we had Eftink and Nunez going absolutely hell for leather, and Eftink seems to have got the place from Nunez. So Nunez now has 0 VOR cars in his rearview mirror, and that has actually been replaced by Vogelsang in the number 12, who I don't think will want to go for a move here. I think all the guys in this sort of end of the field are, playing the longer game, as we've said a fair few times tonight. But who knows? Nunez has looked super racy. He might have a second berth later on in this stint, as Eftink is really close behind O'Sullivan.
I think they're trying to do this all in 2 stops, 2 more stops. So if everyone stopped at 93, then 30 laps from there, we break out the old the calculator here. So we go 93 plus 30, and that gets us to 123, and then we go 30. That gets us to 153, so that's 7 laps shy. So they're trying to do this stint in like 32 or 33 to ensure that last stop is not a splash and go at the end.
Okay, that's really interesting. That sort of makes sense as to why the action level has sort of died off a little bit here in after the safety car restart. But that could all change in around 10 laps or so. Well, about to be 9 laps, as Charles will peel off into the pits. But I would imagine it would actually be less than that, because of the fact he's having to lead this pack.
So Charles last stopped on lap 79, and he is currently 25 laps into his stint. So I'll have a better idea of what Charles can do. If we go green, I don't know if maybe staying out might have been the right call. It's a good gamble, and he's up 26 positions. I mean, heck, when you started this race in 27th position, take the gamble.
Yeah. 100%. I would have done the same thing in his position. There's not really too much to lose. You get a nice bit of screen time. You get your name at the top of the leaderboard. Yeah. And if it pays off, you might look like an absolute genius, Einstein, master of strategy and physics.
I don't think anyone's pulling off a Brian Herta style Alexander Rossi call here, but you never know. Charles way high on the exit there, coming off a 3. He's coming now to 27 laps of this run, and you're right. He's been up front the entire time. I don't think he'll get too far north of 30. He'll get a little north of 30, but not too far.
Yeah, he's looking like he's struggling a little bit. The surface of those Firestones on that number 88 probably resemble that of a bit of blue tack or the end of like a Pritt stick, those like wind-up glues that you'd have.
Yes.
And as soon as you put them on any sort of surface, they just completely melt away. That's probably what he's having to deal with at the moment, after having to do 27 odd laps on this set of tyres, and especially having to hold back this angry pack of leaders. So, well, I mean, I can call him a leader for the next 5 or so laps, but I mean, he will drop relatively far down the order once he comes into his next pit stop, as the pit time loss here, you're looking at around 36 seconds under green flag conditions. That's almost a lot less under safety car. Exactly, so that's almost the lap, and he will probably come out not too far away from
right in front of the leaders if he hustles it. You're right.
So he might still have a part to play in this. And as we said earlier, with the whole rule of the final 10 laps, up until that point, he can do whatever he wants. So the leaders might get increasingly frustrated if he ends up back in this position again, albeit fighting for his lap, which might create a little bit of entertainment for us up in the commentary box, because you don't really want to be going a lap down with the best part of 40 laps left to run I mean, you can count and bank on the fact that there'll be another caution, but I don't know, with the amount that we've had so far today, we only have 19 cars running and 17 cars being on the lead lap, as a couple of guys trying to dive to the inside to catch the draft off of, who was that? That would be Christensen.
Yeah, Christensen just came out of the box there for a stop, and he's now kind of in the middle of these leaders with fresh tires and a full tank, and he's just ahead of Vogelzang. Let me give you an idea of what we're turning in terms of lap times right now. Just give you a very clear that we're in fuel-saving mode. Charles Draculetta, he is doing a 2:14.5. That was his last lap. Lindy a 2:14.3. Julian a 2:14.4. O'Sullivan, this is miles per hour, sorry. This is O'Sullivan a 2:13.5. F-Tink a 2:14.4. So normally they would be very easily in the 220s. So they are all fuel saving up there, including Charles leading. In fact, and here comes Charles coming to pit road. So this is going to be right at lap 31, coming 30 to 31 for him.
Yeah, I would have been very surprised if he made that 34 lap of work, because he does a bit of weaving to get into his box, angles it nicely towards the camera for us. Give us a wave, Charles, as you get your next tank of fuel and fresh set of Firestones.
But his next stop is his last stop.
This will get him not to the end. No, it
no.
won't.
No, next stop. So let's say he's at 110 now, right? And let's just say he does 30 laps. That's at 140. Now, keep in mind, this is a 160 lap race. So the next stop is his last stop, and he doesn't need to do a full stop.
Yeah, so he will be needing to do a splash and dash, but being the fact that he will be fighting for his... Whoa! What happened there?
Wow.
As we have O'Sullivan to the lead.
I think Liam decided, you know what, I'm going to take advantage of this, and I think he might have caught Lindy sleeping just a tad.
We'll get a replay of that in a moment for you, but, you know, we pan to the camera and everyone's everywhere.
He goes two spots. He gets a run on Julian, he gets a run on Lindy. And bringing Nunez with him. I don't think Julian was expecting that either. And I think a little bit of sleeping going on once they got rid of that driver. They're like, oh, okay, time to go. They got rid of Charles.
I reckon that's a little bit of Liam deciding to try out this new hybrid button and dumps the whole lot of it as Nunez picks up two as well. Scares the life out of Altena, who goes all the way up the racetrack to give Nunez all the room and some more, as we now ride on board with Nunez. I believe this is live. He is right behind. No, this is the replay. This is not live. So he, presses the button, goes all the way up the inside.
I think there was a bit of a lift there, too, and he had to take evasive action. He's like, I got a head of steam. I got to go. I got to take it.
Yeah. That was some unexpected action as F-Tink comes under fire from Vogelzang and Low. As we've got, sorry, that's not Low, that's Christensen in the lapped car trying to get back in on the action.
Oh, there we go. Oh, Vogelzang almost out giving a kiss to the turn one exit wall.
It's all starting to get a bit rowdy here. I reckon, yeah, we might need to stick on a wide FOV camera and just pick your battle, ladies and gentlemen. We've got moves coming in left, right, and center. It's gone from 0 to 100. Since since Charles went into the pits, it's turned into the Hunger Games. Everyone wants a piece of the action. Everyone wants to lead. With 48 to go, it's getting towards business time, and you can feel it.
Charles did a good stop. I'll give him credit on that. He is
rewind
in with the big run, with the teammate on his outside and a teammate behind him.
Oh my gosh! Be careful.
Yeah, Charles
Fellas,
is 5 seconds ahead of the leader. And he had himself a good stop, so he's still on the lead lap, but he's at the tail end of the lead lap. Here comes Luis Nunez to the inside.
Oh my god. Christensen with the absolute mega send, 3 up the inside. Just before we went to that replay, they were almost 4 wide, I think I counted down the back straight. Everyone's deciding to have a piece of it now as Christensen wants to get that lap back. He wants to get going, and everyone's trying to follow with him as he's going to the inside, will he? Not quite got that move done. He's loving it. Christensen is 3 laps down on the field,
Well,
says, you know what, screw your guys' race. I want to have a bit of fun.
but
I
his
want my
tires,
screen time.
he's only 7 laps into his stint, so his tires are that much better, and he's going to stream to the front, and that actually could help out Liam O'Sullivan because that is a teammate, and now Liam can actually throttle back a little bit and save some fuel behind his teammate. This might have been something planned. The teammate might have just said, the teams might have just said, get on up there and help the leader out.
As we now see Nunez into the inside.
There was a little bit of trash talk out there going on the radios. As Liam just about a little bit of a rub there from Nunez on the inside.
This has been a horrible couple of laps for Julian Artena. He's gone from being in the top 3 down to 6th place. This has not been an ideal run for him. He's now the last of those Artena Autosport cars. The Artena Autosport cars themselves have now 3 cars in between them, that being Nunez, Clintworth, and Vogelsang between O'Sullivan and Eftink. Eftink will want to get a move on. He will want to get his way back up the field. Nunez, I think, will definitely be looking for a couple of moves. He's been looking racy all evening long, ever since I said that he sort of might be taking a little bit more chilled and laid back. He's turned the heat level up to maximum, and he is on the attack 1,000%.
Let's not rule out Jesper Orman, otherwise known as Jesper Dahlgren, in the standings. He goes to the inside of Julian, and now move Jesper Orman, former Indy 500 winner in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. He is now up to 6th, and he's a teammate of Clindy, so we got to know that they're on a similar strategy and definitely similar setups.
Yeah, Alterna's not having a fun time. Down to 7th now. He was looking so good 5 laps ago. Sent a message in the in-game drivers chat, vocalizing that he is not very happy with how things have planned out over the last 5 laps or so. As we now see Orman again on Eftink, not messing about. Eftink shouldn't fight this one too much. Lets him past and through. Now we have 2 of the Artena Autosport cars almost together, and almost the fact that we have 2 of the teammates being Klentworth and Orman together as well could be a serious force in the making.
And Steinecker, I believe, pit road. So he's coming in at 119. He's 10 laps short. So he's going to have to really extend this run to do a splash and dash at the end. Otherwise, if he just does 30 laps, and he's coming in at 25, so he might be actually short stopping this thing a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be super surprised.
Yeah, here he goes, and he hits his. Oh, he doesn't. Nope, he doesn't. And he's going up and down on the jacks. So he messed this next to last stop. It's going to cost him.
Lucky for him. We're going to see him now coming in, missing the marks. Locks the front left, gets it all sideways. And yeah, just the wrong angle. He's going to have to reshuffle that car. But that's really surprised me, actually, coming in 10 laps short with 41 to go. So he definitely can't make it to the end. It would have to be almost a full electric run for about 6 laps on that hybrid. I think
what he's trying to do is separate the last run into maybe 2 20-lap stints or something like that.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Maybe
that's what I'm thinking of, yeah. If you have to stop, maybe just divide it in half and get the stop done earlier instead of inside of 10 laps.
Yeah, so that pit stop for him was 8.1. So that was nearly on par with what Clintworth had to do in the last pit stop when everyone came in, if you remember that.
And he had a
short field, his was 8.0.
Yeah, he had a more full tank. But I think Nunez getting around Clendy to move Nunez up to 2nd. O'Sullivan having the draft aid of his teammate in front of him, and John Christensen in 44 Nation. He is actually kind of pulling away a little bit. He's up in front of Liam O'Sullivan by 0.6 of a second, but within the 1.5 draft envelope. So does O'Sullivan, Nunez, Clendy, then Jesper Orman now in the 4th spot, and then Milan Vogelsang in P5. Hey, while we got a second, and I'm reminded here by the first name of Vogelsang here in P5. Milan, have you seen the movie Hoosiers, the basketball movie Hoosiers?
I can't say I have.
It had Gene Hackman in it, starred Gene Hackman in it. That movie portrayed a high school called Hickory High School in southern Indiana that won the Indiana High School basketball championships back in the 50s. That real school it was based off of was called Milan High School, just like Milan Vogelsang here. So there's a name Milan with Hoosier ties. And I'll tell you how it ties into the racetrack. The old PA announcer, Tom Carnegie of the Speedway, who has since passed away, actually had a bit role in the movie Hoosiers as he was the PA announcer when they filmed the championship finals at Butler Fieldhouse. So there are your IndyCar and Indy 500 and Indianapolis Motor Speedway tie-ins to the name Milan.
You know what? I'm actually so impressed with the fact that you have all of this knowledge tucked up your sleeve, Gary. I could not be able to find this out, let alone remember it for half the race with all the action we've had so far, and then just be able to absolutely perfectly link it all together. That's a talent
Hoosier by birth
I've yet
and Hoosier
to,
by death.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm yet to master that trait, and something that I've definitely noticed is really impressive. So,
and back to the action on hand. It is we're going to see a battle here, and I don't know how much they're going to fight each other. Let's go back to Clindy and Jesper here. This is Kyle Klindworth and Jesper Orman, otherwise known as Jesper Dahlgren. They are side by side. I don't know how much they're going to fight each other at this point. They are definitely working together with one another, and they were close just about a lap ago, and now Jesper kind of backs off Kyle. Kyle getting the run on Luis Nunez, but I think we are now 32 laps into the run for everybody here in the top 13. Pit stops are imminent, and pit stops depending on if they can get the 130. If they can get the 130, it'll be final stops.
Yeah, I was going to say, just when you finish there, the fact that we're nearing a pit stop window, this stint has flown by. So much action involved in this leg of the race that I almost completely forgot about the fact that pit stops are coming around so soon. We'll have to see who comes in 1 or 2 laps earlier. But the fact that everyone's somewhat had some draft this stint, I would imagine everyone starts piling in probably more towards 2 laps time rather than next lap, which would mean a 34 lap stint to the end. So after this pit stop sequence, it's going to be whoever can save the most amount of fuel to be able to have that little bit to play with once it's go time with about 10 to 5 laps to go.
Hey, before we get to those pit stops, once again, if you're just joining us, you are watching Velocity Online Racing's coverage of round 2 of 6 of season 2 of the Global IndyCar Challenge Championship, coming to you from the world's greatest race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where currently Liam O'Sullivan, former winner here of the Velocity Online Racing Series Indy 500, he is your leader. We have are expecting pit stops. We were just shy of 30 laps to go. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. The next race for the GIC will be Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. From Charlotte Motor Speedway. Coverage starts at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the 7th, right here on the Velocity Online Racing channel. So don't miss it. Final pit stops are anytime now. Watching the leaders anytime past lap 130.
We have Jeffrey Mathan, Chris Rise, Anthony Hatisma are all in the pits. Mathan loses the place there, so we have the leader now onto pit road a lap before everyone else. So he will be able to go 33 to the end. So this is the last stop for him. He will have to do a little bit more saving than the rest of the guys around him. So expect him to sort of chill out a little bit more once this pack accordions back together, with the rest of the guys maybe being a little bit more aggressive off of the pit exit here. But he's by himself, so I wonder how much that will cost him in terms of track position, how much it will lose him in terms of top speed, and most importantly lap time on these first couple of laps, because right now he's not doing the 200 and some miles an hour that the rest of the leaders are, and he won't have draft as Nunez, Vogelsang, who else is that in the background? Van Gastel, Aman Lal as well into the pits. Nunez hits his marks perfectly, and we will watch as Vogelsang comes into the pits as well. Little bit of a slide.
Wow. He did. He's at a weird angle. He'll actually get out of the box real quick. But all this Clindy saving fuel, this is just less fuel that has to go into the tank and making Clindy stop shorter and shorter. And here he comes. He's coming to pit road right now for his final stop.
Just don't slide it. He's really pushing that entry. I mean, you have to if you want to win this race, but he's really trying his luck.
FT Caltena also on pit road. Here's Clindy down to his stall, and look where he positions his car right near that white line. That makes getting out of the stall a little bit quicker. Down off the jacks, just waiting for the fuel, and he spins the tires a little bit, and now he's rolling. We will see where he pops out.
9.9 for Clindy. Sasuk has done a 9.8, so that's 1/10 gain for Sasuk. F-Tink has done a... It's just coming through now. 9.5.
Jesper Orman on pit road. And now we turn the lead over.
5.
And we now turn the lead over to Charles Draculetti's once he gets past Jesper on pit road. And he will pick back up the lead. He is 20 laps into his stint. He needs one more stop to go. It'll be a very short one, but by nature of just being on this different strategy, he's going to get some lead time. But the big story is look at who's right behind him. That's Luis Nunez. Nunez now 2 laps into his stint, but look at the gap. Look at the gap back to him and Clindy. That is the difference in pit stop. But here comes Jesper. He's going to pop out in between the two of them.
I don't think he'll keep this from Clindy. Clindy will probably look to the inside. Yep, he does. So he now drops to 3rd, but the 2 teammates now are together, so they will be working as hard as they can to catch Nunez. But it's all about those fine margins. I mean, if I look at the pit stop times, Nunez has done a 9.5. That's 9 seconds stationary in the pit box, that 9.5. And compared to those around him, Clenworth has done a 9.9 stationary. Jesper Orman has done a 9.6 stationary. O'Sullivan almost 10 seconds stationary, and just that half a second difference has meant that he has now the best part of a half a second lead.
Well, even if Nunez gets and he's gonna pass Charles, because Charles will still have to stop, but he can't slow down. He needs to go now. But here's Clindy. Clindy's going to be right there. Even with that half a second that he was better on, he had a half a second lead on the racetrack, just because this is the draft. This is the equalizer of the draft. He's going to suck Clindy right back up to the back of him. And then, Jesper slides right in front of Charles. He did not leave much there, but he wanted to get back in line. So we're going to have Jesper and Kyle are going to be right on Luis Nunez here very, very quickly, and Liam O'Sullivan cannot afford to fall any further behind, or this is going to be a 3-horse race to decide this 400-mile championship here at the Speedway.
Yeah, Jesper had to make that move, didn't he? In order for his race to go as planned, to keep that draft and to stay within striking distance, he had to be aggressive there. This is that time of the race where you need to start turning up the tempo. You need to start taking those risks. And unfortunately, I think O'Sullivan is probably just a little bit too far back. He's 1.6 seconds back, just edging the draft almost. It's going to be really close.
He is 6/10 behind, now 5/10 behind Charles. But if we look at his gap back to the gap up to Jesper is 1.8. So if he can't catch and get around, someone a little evasive. Okay, this is what we got. We got lap traffic, and here comes Clindy. Clindy decided he's going to take it around the outside. Clindy going in the one, and he clears it.
There's damage. Oh no. I think there was damage, but it repaired itself. Lucky boy. That was incredibly close for Nunez. I saw the bit of bodywork fly up the racetrack as soon as they went into turn 1, and I was about to say that could be completely race ending and another safety car and another caution, which could be massively in the favors of those yet to stop.
Yeah,
as we
but
look at the replay.
Liam's not catching this group. He's just not gonna, unless there's a late caution. And now we are, everyone with the exception of one driver is looking at their final stop, and Charles is in fourth spot. He still needs to make one more to make it home, but he is now back in the
Yes.
fourth spot. So his only hope now is a late caution. But your leader now is Clindy with Jesper, his teammate. And here comes Jesper. I told you not to rule him out. Down the backstretch to the inside of the turn 3 and move the alter ego of Jesper into the front. But we're watching the replay. Getting yelled at by my director like I'm going to listen. Anyways, Jesper Orman is the leader. Here comes Clindy.
As they go side by side again so Clendy retakes the lead, says absolutely no thank you, I'll have that one back, thank you very much. And I think they're sort of materializing now that it is a 3-horse race, although that move could be more to signal that, you know what, let's just make sure that there's absolutely no chance that Liam can overtake us and catch up with us, as Nunez is sort of trying to set up his next opportunity, it looks like, because it's going to be no good him sitting there with 24 to go. There's no fuel-saving opportunities left on the table. So he needs to break these two teammates apart and get amongst in it.
The third car in line, especially here at Indianapolis, is always at a disadvantage. And there are two teammates with Rogue Racing working and operating in front of them, and they are not going to give a hand to Fiercely Ford and Luis Nunez. But here's a replay.
So this was the first pass for the lead as Orman looks to the inside, fairly straightforward move up the inside, pass his teammate, and I think, to be honest, that looks rather routine rather
that looked,
than
a little scripted, and there's nothing wrong with that. And now they're going to script passes until we get to the final stage of this race over the next 10 laps or so for sure. As we get inside of 10 laps, we will see when the gloves come off for the Rogue Racing teammates up front and see how well they're going to work together inside of 10 laps.
We see now just there on screen briefly Charles coming in for his final stop in the number 88 with 22 to go, so he'll be able to go flat out to the end, and it will be interesting to see where he feeds out relative to the leaders here. That's interesting. So O'Sullivan is actually...
he came in before everybody, though, Liam.
Yeah, he came in before. And he actually had a longer stop still. So he absolutely brimmed that car. And he's actually asked in the in-game voice to have lap cars overtake him, basically, to use as a buffer and as a tow to be able to possibly even make it to the end of this race. I don't think O'Sullivan's going to be a factor for the win of this race. I think he's just trying to consolidate that fourth place and pray that Nunez has a coming together or even a late caution with the two leaders for any chance of him at least gaining some ground. I know I'm talking about championship, but you can't not ignore it when you've got the two drivers currently sat right behind each other, because, it's the little things that count.
Yeah, he needs to shift to Plan B. Plan A is not winning the Indy 400 here. It's going to be Plan B now is the active plan, is just to bring his car home in the highest position possible to get as many points as possible, because the guy he's chasing the points is third on the racetrack and has a shot to win right now. And so Liam just needs to bring this car home now. If he gets a late caution, all right, things change different. We go back to Plan A. But Plan B is to bring the car home. We're watching this other group of drivers that you saw momentarily on your screen. That was Altena, Sissik, Vogelzang, Eftink, and Lal. That was for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. They're all, I don't know how hard they're racing. They're in a similar situation of fuel, so they might just be trying to nurse their cars home as well. They might not be able to reel in O'Sullivan. Julian has 3 seconds to O'Sullivan up in the fourth spot, and it was a 4-second lead, and now it's a 3-second lead. So Julian reeling in O'Sullivan, who's on a massive fuel save here to try to end this 400 miles without making a stop and splash at the end. But the top three are all together there. It's still Orman, Clindy, and Nunez, about 6 tenths behind the lead duo.
Yeah, at the rate they're pulling away at the moment, it's going to be really touch and go by the end of the race, whether
Ooh.
he'll even have the draft as he gets very close to the outside wall. There's Clenny. But, you know, once the gloves come off, that beautiful teamwork that we've been seeing over the last few laps, that systematic, almost machine-like swapping into turns 3 and 1, which they don't do this time round, that will definitely back them up more. So Nunez, don't count him out yet. He's definitely still in there as long as he's got the draft, and I'm sure that he will have Christensen behind, Charles behind, I should say, to give him a hand should he need.
They might have decided that those two just kind of race it out, stay as is, hold their stations for the time being. They might have been using their tires up a little bit. So they're going to rest their tires a little bit while they were kind of swapping positions. Nunez, you're right, not out of the neighborhood yet. He's in the ballpark, and he is right there in the draft envelope of Clindy. He can pull himself forward when he's ready to. The tire situation between these three, 13-lap-old tires for Jesper, 14-lap-old tires for Clindy, and 15-lap-old tires for Lewis. So practically even tires across the board for the top three.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about minor differences if you're going to say that Nunez is at a disadvantage. Because of his tyres, as he gets into the wall on the exit of turn 1, he's going to drop behind Charles there. And I believe that this is getting closer to potentially being a little bit further away from the neighborhood than we were just talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Maybe you could also lull yourself into sleep. But I think Charles kind of lets him go back by as we're getting really close to that 150 lap neighborhood where lap traffic kind of needs to get out of the way.
Ooh.
And we're back a little bit further in the pack here. So here we go. Liam has been caught. That whole group, I said, was 3 seconds behind him. They have reeled him in very quickly. And now Julian, how nice is he going to be to one of his drivers on his team there? And right now, O'Sullivan is trying to use Gardner a little bit right in front of him.
Yeah, this is going to be a tasty fight. These two that we're looking at on screen, the 63 and the 1. The 1 is the defending champion. The 63 wants the championship this season. Both are very good drivers. Both are very well respected within the IndyCar world and are both, most importantly, teammates. So this would make an extremely important to not hit each other. Otherwise, that would make for a rather awkward team debriefing after this race. But as long as Liam can stay where he is and sort of keep the angry pack of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars behind him, he should be okay for at least P4, as that's almost the best, well, that is the best that he can do, considering he's 13 seconds off the lead.
Front, Clindy and Jesper. But we continue to watch this pack behind as they are just. I think they're all watching fuel right now. I think they're all tied on fuel because F-take into the wall. But if I knew Julian, he would be racing around them and by them if he could. And I think this whole group is tight on fuel. And here comes a Vogelzang on Sissek.
Yeah, you saw the check up into turn 1. Everyone sort of had that slight accordion effect into turn 1, which I think is what caused F-Ting to go slightly into the wall. As we're side by side in the short chute, Sasek goes round the outside to keep the place. Lovely defense from him, and we'll probably see it again into turn 1 here. You'll see everyone just sort of get a little bit closer as we get towards the entry point into turn 1. There, you see the gap between Altena and Sasek slightly close up. I think these guys are all just trying to create enough fuel to be able to have a one-lap shootout on the final tour of this circuit as we approach 12 to go with someone in the background.
Yeah, that was Nigel Stock just getting a little too close to the turn 2 wall. Exit there.
Yeah, he's fallen off the back of this sort of little group now, so that might be race consolidating for him. As we have someone doing a little bit of a blinky game, and I believe that is Rise or Van Gastel that is sort of fading in and out of existence as we now pan to the leaders for the last 10 laps of this race. Nunez is a second behind, so still within draft range, but it's going to be a big ask, and he'll need a lot of luck and a lot of battling up front to be able to get the draft back, as we have a swap for the lead.
Yeah, I'm sure Clindy and Jesper are scripting this out in comms, saying that we're going to race this thing out, but we can't race it. I think even if 5 to go is too soon to be racing it out. I think they need to really race it out with less than 3 to go, because if they get too much racing together, then it becomes right now it's a 2-car battle, and they can at least work with one another. When they get a 3rd car involved, that becomes the wild card. That's a car. That's an unknown. They can't really control that one as much as they can control working together. They do not want to get Luis Nunez in this battle, so I suspect that they're going to be kind of at peace at Dante for quite a little bit, and then we will see the Cold War thaw, and then we will see it go hot with about 2 to go. I'm willing to bet.
Yeah, I mean, it's in all honesty, it is a very smart play from the Rogue Racing team. They've been around Nunez all race long. They've seen that, you know, if he's given half the chance, he will have a look, he will show his nose, he will try and have a sniff at an opportunity. So to keep him at arm's length, so to say, at this phase in the race, even with, you know, single number of laps to go, not even double digits anymore, with single digits with laps to go, I think it's probably best for the drivers and for the team to try and keep him out of it as best that they can.
Julian has got it around. Liam O'Sullivan move him up to 4th. And now O'Sullivan back, so they might be working with one another. Your top 4 are all former Velocity Online Racing Indy 500 champions. So again, the top 4, a lot of experience, and I think that experience is paying off. But Liam is probably the most junior of that group, and he is putting everything he's learned to work. But he has an old savvy veteran of Julian getting around him. But back up front, it is Clindy, it is Orman, and they start pulling away now. Nunez is just at the cusp of that 1.5 second. In fact, he is now outside of that 1.5 second.
Yeah, it was that last lap that sort of did it, wasn't it? He's literally just dropped off, and you will see now the amount that this duo up front will pull away. And realistically now, it will be a 2-horse race. With the amount of experience that these two have that are leading the way, they're not going to do anything silly. They're not going to hit each other. They're not going to do any, you know, crazy banzai moves, because they are teammates and they've got crazy experience in this side of racing, especially in the IndyCar. So we'll potentially see some you know, high IQ moves, I'll put it that way, rather than last lap, you know, Max Verstappen, I'm going to put my car on the inside. If you want to turn in, then that's your problem, kind of thing. Which, you know, is the smart way to go about it. But as I said before, probably not the way that we would want it to go down in the commentary box. We want an exciting last lap duel between titans of IndyCar.
The top 3, actually all the last 3 champions of the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship as well. Clindy is now your current reigning champion. Luis Nunez was your defending champion coming into this previous season that Clindy just won. Before that was Jesper Orman. Jesper is actually, I believe, a 2-time champion of that, the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series Championship. So a ton of IndyCar experience at the top of the charts here, as we are coming to 4 to go, a qualification run, 10 miles to decide who's going to win the 400 here in the Global IndyCar Challenge. Coming off of 4, looking at 4 to go this time by.
You know, I think if Orman wins this race, it'll be a fantastic feat for him, especially after the race that he had at Nürburgring. It was not what you would usually see from Jesper. He was, you know, probably not in the right headspace. He was a little bit off in terms of the pace. You know, he made a couple of mistakes. This would be the perfect way for him to sort of get his head back in the game, get it, you know, reset, get a win under his belt, you know, prove to himself that it was just a hiccup, and I'm back and ready to fight for this championship more than ever as he retakes the lead into turn 3.
The leaders have a car within a second and a half. In fact, a number of cars in the neighborhood now. They got Mathon, Pim Van Gastel, and Hatsima are right directly in front of them on the racetrack and might actually play a role here in these final 3 laps.
They will play, but they will have to move. So it depends how they do that. If they decide to lift in a corner and then they get caught up, they misjudge it even slightly. The closing speed, when you're going 230 miles an hour, they all pull over to the side there. That's probably the right way to do it. Yeah, fantastic from those guys. But if they were to do it, for example, here in the short chute on the exit of turn 3, you're doing 190 miles an hour on the exit there. You can't just turn the wheel about 5 degrees more and get yourself out of trouble. That's not really how it works when you're doing warp speeds. So it's amazing that those guys did the right thing for their race and for the lead of the race as well, and got out the way.
Right, 2 to go. I would imagine the gloves are off for the leaders, as right now Orman is pulling away by 5/10, and maybe he just decided that he was going to hit the jets a little bit sooner than Clindy. Clindy was ready. I don't know if Clindy has anything left in the car. We shall see. Coming to the white flag this time by off of corner number 4. Staring at home is Jesper Orman. Right with him is Clindy, and now the stake begins down the front stretch. White flag in the air, 2.5 miles to go as they go into 1.
This could be perfectly planned from Clintworth. He could be set this up absolutely perfectly. He takes the wider line into turn 1. He's going to set this one up for turn 3. And if Jesper can defend this perfectly into 3, I think he could be home and dry.
Do we see a pass on the outside like Newgarden a couple years ago? No. Jesper goes out to the outside of the fit, but here he goes. He's going to take a look at the high side anyways. He's going to have a big run coming through 3 and 4. We're going to have a drag race to the finish. Here they come from home. Lap 160. Checkered flag is out side by side, and I think Clindy's going to have the run to the outside. And Clindy by a nose.
Oh my God. 0.01 across the line. What a race. What a finish. Oh my word. By 0.01, we'll have a look at the replay. As we slow it right down, we'll see how much it actually was won by. That is a dead heat.
By a nose. And I have 0.007 is the margin of victory.
Yep.
That is not tenths, not hundredths, but 7 thousandths of a second. 7 thousandths of a second. Now, I've seen closer here at the Brickyard before. A number of broadcasts that I've done, I've seen closer. But 7 thousandths, any way you look at it, is less than a blink of an eye.
That's incredible. Yeah, my timing screen says 0.007 as well. And, I think that was perfectly set up. He sort of dropped a little bit further back off of, coming to the white flag. And that's that. I said that, a while ago in the broadcast. With these cars, you have to set the move up almost a lap and a half in advance, because you have to time everything so perfectly. You have to gain the momentum as we look at the drag race to the line. It's going to pull to the outside, use the side draft, not so much anymore, and it's an absolute drag race. He almost stalls out about equal with Jesper Orman here.
And here comes the nose, and Jesper just has the look probably on his screens, and he could probably see that there was no way to stop that momentum.
Even so, for the championship standings, I think that Jesper Orman will be more than happy with a second place finish, considering Nunez and O'Sullivan are 3rd and 5th.
Yeah, he finished ahead. So here's your results for him tonight. Clindy kind of defending his Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship Indy 500 that he had here a few months ago. He gets the win over the 400-mile distance. Jesper Orman, under the name and alias of Jesper Dahlgren, is in second. Luis Nunez, who is probably still going to be your points leader after this, going into round 3, finishes 3rd. That's your podium. Julian, another just top 5 finish for Julian for our defending series champion. Very consistent finishes. That's going to keep him in the championship. There's only 6 rounds for the GIC. So, again, getting a good finish out of every single race is more key than sometimes actually. If you can't win, you got to get the best finish possible. And another top 5 for Julian. He comes home 4th. Tim O'Sullivan in 5th. Vogelzang in 6th. Sisek in 7th. Ftink started from the pole and fell back to 8th. Lal in 9th and Hatsuma in 10th. Your biggest gainer actually in the top 10 there actually was our winner. He improved 17 positions. Going to the next page, we got Pim in 11th. Charles on a different strategy in 12th. Mathon in 13th. Charles Chris Rice, in 14th. Gavin Gardner in 15th. Siniker in 16th. Ramirez 17th. Stock 18th. Christensen 19th. And Fiolis in 20th. And then remaining out the remainder of the field here is Bachhoven in 21st. Dory, Mixer, Yachki and Serrano, your top 25. Heisman, Silvazzi, Langbin, Strauss, Pressy, all with incidences early on in the race. That is your top 30. And I think we have a last page. And there it is, Charpentier and Ortiz. Early outs, unfortunately, here in this 400-mile race, coming home in 31st and 32nd. Don't see Luis Nunez in the box yet, but what we'll do is we'll split the interview time here, JJ. We'll let you talk with Jesper here first. We'll bring Jesper into the booth. We'll send it over to JJ to get the podium interview from Jesper.
Yeah, amazing. So Jesper, P2 for you. How did you find that finish?
Well, it was all new to me with the boost and everything, so I didn't know how I would hold up against him there. Obviously, it's always if you have like a good run out of 4 as a second car, it's always better than being in the lead. But I thought maybe a full boost would help me, but not this time. But yeah, it was my teammate, so it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, we saw you guys working together in the last 15 or so laps to really open up that gap to Nunez behind, and we sort of knew at that point it was going to be a clean, straight fight between you guys. But you mentioned about the hybrid system. Is it worth a lot round here? Is it worth using at all? Does it make much of a difference? How have you found it compared to previous times running here?
No comment.
No comment. Okay, so we'll move on from that one. But anyway, looking at this performance compared to where you were at the Nürburgring, this must be a massive boost for you personally. I mean, looking back at the Nürburgring, it probably wasn't your finest performance in terms of, where you ended up coming in the race. But, to be here on the podium, up 14 places and missing out on the win by the best part of 0.007. That's 7,000th to the win. You might as well count it as the win, right? That must be a big boost, especially heading into the big race on Sunday.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'm not part of the Hoosier 500, so I wish my teammates the best in that race. But yeah, we got a good package here. As far as the race at Nürburgring, I kind of had a little bit of pace, but I hit the outside curb after the final chicane and kind of lost a bit of grip there and had to slow down and got hit from behind. So it was, totally my fault. But yeah, I couldn't ride that outside curb like Nunez did. But it's fine. We all know that he's a god around road courses. So I'll try to be as good as I can on the ovals, where ovals are my cup of tea. And such a joy today. We got a new update, bunch of stuff. You need to rebuild the car. Yeah, doesn't get any better than this. Race day at the Indianapolis 500. It's just, there's nothing like it in sports.
Yeah, you mentioned briefly about having to build the setup, and I won't ask you any questions on that because I'm sure that's extremely disclosed information with, especially being so early in this build of the car's development. But I'm sure that's an absolute joy having to completely find the fine tweaks and the best bits of this new build of the Dallara IR18. But
Yep.
nevertheless, it's good to see Jesper back on the podium. Good to see the old Jesper Orman return to the top three in VOR, and I wish you the very best for the future rounds. Next up is Charlotte.
Yeah, thanks, Gals. I'll watch the broadcast back. It's going to be great. So, see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Jesper Orman, guys. Jesper Orman.
I guess we didn't ask him how he got that lap down. We'll figure that out later. But I'll bring down. Actually, Luis Nunez is in the booth or in the waiting room. We'll bring him in now, and I will. I'll talk to him here real quick. And there is Luis Nunez. Right now, winning the war, but not the battle. Looks like you're going to be the points leader going into the next round. But not the car to get the win today after the dominant that you had at Nürburgring. But talk about the car, talk about the new car, and anything useful that you learned that is different now with this new car that you can deploy on oval races with the hybrid.
Well, to be honest, I don't even know what they've changed because I just do the car like 1 hour before the session. So yeah, I still don't know what what they have changed. Feels kind of the same. I'm not gonna lie.
Well,
But
talk about the race. I mean, it didn't seem to impact your race too much. I mean, you were very patient on getting up to the front, just kind of biding your time and kind of waiting to your pit stops where you seem to have an edge on in laps and out laps on everyone.
yeah, no. Today I knew I had no pace because the setup I was driving was horrendous. So yeah, I knew I had to do something different on the strategy. And yeah, at the beginning I tried to pit on the first laps when there were some yellows, and so have better tires when we all packed and maybe have a chance. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy because it's much more than expected.
What did you kind of find out was the problem with the setup? Just a little too draggy today with the conditions, or just the setup wasn't optimized for the kind of the new weight, the way the center of gravity has changed with these cars with the hybrid now?
Yeah, I guess that's a problem because it's from 1 season ago, the one I used for the Indy 500, and well, it was really bad. I mean, it was slow in the straight, really bad in the corners, really bad with the tires. I mean, nothing good. But yeah, P3, I will take it with points and ahead of Julian and Sullivan. So yeah, good result.
Shout outs, friends, family, sponsors. Anyone want to say hi to before we let you go?
Yeah, I would like to thank Antonio Canella for spotting me during the race, and yeah, for helping me with the field because I wasn't sure if I was making it. So yeah, thanks to him, and yeah, also my team.
Congratulations on finishing third. Like I said, winning the battle or winning the war right now, but kind of lost the battle here at Indianapolis. And as we move on to the next round at Charlotte, is your points leader. That's Luis Nunez. Congrats. We'll see you when we get to Charlotte here at the in the new year.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, you guys.
So we have an update. Oh, okay. So the update on Jesper, how he set his VR headset failed, forcing him to sit out a lap on the track. Can you believe that?
Oh wow!
He had an equipment, he had a mechanical, and still was able to come back and almost win this race. Wow, that says
That's
something.
incredible.
Yeah, wow. Man, that was a monster setup. And let's talk about the guy that talk to the guy that got the benefit of this monster setup, and it is Glendy. Glendy, we talked about it during the race. You were kind of using this as a reconnaissance race to get into get some invaluable intelligence for the PRI Hoosier 500 on Sunday. I would imagine that was some pretty good intelligence you picked up there. How do you feel that your shots are from Sunday after getting the win today?
That Jesper is the most intelligent man on the planet. He built me an absolute rocket ship. Without him, I would have been looking like Nunez or, the Altena Autosport cars, quick, but not flawless. And this car was a dream to drive. Jesper built this thing, and holy smokes, did it show.
It looked like you were just kind of, especially further back in the pack as you were working your way forward, you were kind of passing people with ease. Is that because of the benefit of the superior setup that you had, learning the hybrid, or just you were on a different strategy than everyone else, and they were maybe doing some fuel saving? But it looked pretty easy back there until you got up into that lead pack.
Yeah, genuinely, I really just had to take my time. This set actually really punishes you if you drive it too hard. So, without revealing my hand too much, I didn't even take tires the first couple of pit stops. I just came in to get gas to kind of see what it would be like to be off sequence and have to manage my tires more than normal. I know that on Sunday, the field will be very, very strong, and that if I want to make up a lot of positions quickly, taking no tires is something that is definitely in my playbook, from what I learned today. So, there are a few more things we want to massage on and tweak on, and I know the temperature is going to be a little bit different on Sunday, but I think this is the car I'm going to make adjustments to, and I'm going to run on Sunday. So, if you're watching and you're worried about me, no, it's only going to get better.
Sounds like you're pretty confident, or at least the confidence is high. Shout outs, friends, family, sponsors, anyone who want to say hi to, winning by 7 thousandths of a second.
I know I already called him the smartest man alive, but he shorted me in fantasy. Jesper Dahlgren made me only $8 million in the Hoosier 500 fantasy draft. So if you want to make the most points per million, you pick me, or you pick like Ricky Paz, somebody who costs like 6 million, right? I am an incredibly good buy. So hit up the 500 community Discord, or in the community Discord 500 discussion channel to find that Jesper fantasy spreadsheet. Go ahead and play along, see if you can beat my score. But I really think that I'm a great pick. Even if I finish like 12th, like, I'm going to score you a lot of points. Shout out to all of my Rogue and affiliate teammates. Yesterday, we ran tests all day long, and specifically Blaze Andrich. Blaze and I ran to the line, I don't know, 40 times in a row to see how to best use the hybrid to win a situation just like this. Without him in the practice we did yesterday, I would not have won this race. And obviously without Jesper's setup. So, this was definitely a team effort. I was just the one lucky enough to be in this position to wrap up with work a little early today and be able to race with the Europeans, and hopefully take on the rest of the world on Sunday. I got a couple sponsors I want to plug before I get out of your hair.
You got it.
Thanks to Julian and Pim Van Castle for having me on the show late. So I'm happy to defend my title belt in VOR coming up when the season starts again. But this Global IndyCar Challenge is definitely fun, just really hard for Americans to make. So if, during the holidays, I might be able to do a couple more of these. So we'll see. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And if you could like and subscribe to this channel, and also to the P1 broadcasting channel, where we do the Tuesday night top split, which is presented by Techtopia Systems, who's a sponsor of Rogue Racing. And then if you could come and watch or join in to qualifying for the Votive Indy Derby, which will be January 11th, Sunday. And I think your submission is due by the 1st for qualifying on the 4th. There are 20 provisionals, and then there's 23 spots up for grabs. Or I guess there's 23 provisionals with 20 spots up for grabs, but it's a 43 car race at Kentucky. It's amazing. And then the last but not least, thanks to my cousin Craig, who I knew tunes into these all the time, and he runs Sugarman Farms in Minonk, Illinois. And I think that's all my sponsors, except for advanced.gg, where you can check out with promo code CLENDYSENDY for 15% off your order. There's some cool holiday chocolate hot cocoa flavors that are out there right now that you can go pick up. And use my promo code. It helps us both out. And of course, always thanks to you, Gary, for being in the booth and giving my mom something to watch. I love her so much. I'm in her living room right now. Got to win one right in front of her. So she got to see the pop off and everything. So
Well,
pleasure.
Congratulations. We will see you in about a week or so when we get to the PRI Hoosier 500. Got to be feeling pretty good about that. But feeling really good today, getting the 400-mile race win here in the GIC. Congrats, and we will catch you at the next one, whenever that might be.
Thanks, Gary. Definitely at practice or on Sunday. See you then.
And that is Clindy, your winner. JJ, an interesting race. We had two regulars kind of up at the front that kind of got the second and third, and they were the two guys that are going to be second and third in the standings more than likely after this. Julian, we shouldn't rule him out. He had himself a good finish too. He might be still hanging tough in the standings after a good finish last week or 2 weeks ago at Nürburgring. But I think Clindy's got to be feeling pretty good, getting ready to go to this big PRI Hoosier 500 race coming up this Sunday at 11 o'clock. But the rest of the guys in the GIC, those that needed to do well today, all did well, and they're all going to keep pace in the championship standings, which I don't think have been updated yet. And that's key because the season's very short. You can't fall behind. You really can't afford to fall behind at all.
Yeah, it's interesting you say. I mean, as you said, with the championship being so short, consistency is key, and so far that's what Altana's done absolutely perfectly. You know, as you said, 2 top 5 finishes. That's all you can really ask for. You don't need to win every single race. Obviously, that helps. But it will be really good for him to still stay in no doubtably that top 3 position. He's only got O'Sullivan and Nunez in front of him. I mean, he beat one of them today. He beat O'Sullivan, so that will be good for him. And yeah, I mean, like you said, it was really interesting to see this for the first time, this new car, this new build, this new hybrid system. I actually really wanted to ask Kyle before he left what he did going to the line, because he said he tried it about 40 or so times. But I'm sure we're at one point or another we'll be able to pick up what the best strategy is to do coming off of turn 4.
Knowing Clindy and what's coming up with the PRI Hoosier 500, he probably wouldn't tell everybody out there because right now there's still a lot of unknowns and what intelligence is determined. You kind of got to treat it as state secrets. We did know, for sure we knew it was used. We just don't know how it was used coming to the checkered flag here. Real quick, the points are out. Luis Nunez leads by 17 over Liam O'Sullivan, 21 over Julian, who's in 3rd. Vogelzang is in 4th, and Clindy, by virtue of the win, moving up to 5th. But the key one here is Jesper Orman, who's now 6th in the standings, which effectively is basically going to be 5th because Clindy's not going to be a season-long participant. But that is your top 5. Nunez with 90, Liam O'Sullivan with 73, Altena with 69, Vogelzang with 56, and Jesper Orman with 48. That's basically your top 5 going into the next round of the championship. Any final thoughts, Jack, before we run this thing out to give everyone back their Wednesdays?
You know what? I think it was just a really exciting race. This new car is really promising. I think it has a lot of potential. Adds a lot of strategy as well. I mean, yeah, we saw a few incidents earlier on in the race. We saw a few cautions, but I think that was expected considering it's a brand new car and these guys have had not even 24 hours to put something together to run today. So, you know, this sets us up really good for Charlotte, which is the next oval that we go to in a few weeks' time. I think that will be an extremely interesting one.
That's it for today. Once again, your podium here from Indianapolis. Jesper Orman by a winner. Or excuse me, Kyle Clinworth, a winner over Jesper Orman by 7 thousandths of a second. That's it, 0.007, 7 thousandths of a second. And Luis Nunez, a distant 3rd, but still coming out of this weekend as your points leader. Join us again Wednesday, January 7th, 2026, when the season continues for round 3 of the Global IndyCar Challenge Series as the teams and drivers tackle the fast and very narrow Charlotte Motor Speedway. Coverage starts approximately at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the 7th. Again, that's 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Remember, as always, for the correct time in your area, you can find everything here on YouTube and just go to youtube.com and search Velocity Online Racing. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not an easy one, so please help support us with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know your thought of today's race. And if you enjoyed today's coverage, support us by smashing like in the video. If you're new, click subscribe, and while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so don't miss out on more of Velocity Online Racing's other iRacing coverage. To learn more about Velocity Online Racing, visit velocityonlineracing.com. You can like them on Facebook, or you can also follow them on X. So, for JJ, myself, the General Howie Burrows, I'm going to hear about it after the race for him, I know for sure, on the control board, and everyone here at Velocity Online Racing, I'm Gary José. No, happy Wednesday, everybody. Thanks for watching, and all of our men and women serving in the military and as first responders. Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again right here, January 7th, 2026 at Charlotte for the next race of the Global IndyCar Challenge Championship. Until then, happy holidays, and we'll see you in 2026.